going on, everybody? Welcome to our next Beatles album review. We got a real special review today. This is one of the most acclaimed Beatles albums. And joining me, we got the regulars. We got Nick from Townsend 505, Jason the Old Millennial. We got Scrap Dog Scott. Look at that. I think I fished in a new guest. We got Scott's roommate, Tyler, joining us tonight. You're going to be in the remaining Beatle reviews going forward. All right, that's awesome. We'll be talking about Rubber Soul. We got Caleb in the live chat. How you doing? All right, so I guess Tyler, since you're new to the Beatles series, do you have any thoughts on the early albums before we move on to Rubber Soul? If you've listened to them,
we're talking about Please Please Me with the Beatles, Hard Day's Night, and I think Beatles for Sale and Help.
Yeah, those.
I like them. They're pretty good. I think Help. I like most. Help and Hard Day's Night. I like out of the five of them mostly. I used to like Hard Day's Night better, but I think the songwriting is a lot stronger on Help. And then the other three, I like Please Please Me just for the novelty of them having all recorded all that stuff on one day for the most part.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. We spent 12 hours. And then with the Beatles and Beatles for Sale, I feel are pretty weak.
They have some good stuff on them, but
yeah, there's some good songs, but overall, I think
albums.
Yeah.
Do you think Beatles for Sale is as bad as Nick makes it out to be?
He has a point, but it's not that. It's. I don't want to say it's the worst album ever, but it's not great.
All right, fair enough. Okay.
I mean, it's got 8 days a week, though.
8 days a week. Yeah, it's got some good stuff.
It also has Ringo Starr's magnum opus, Honey Don't.
No.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
What? That doesn't sound like Octopus's Garden.
Exactly.
All right. Well,
but now.
All right. Well, we're talking about Rubber Soul tonight, and Jason will now give us the
background information.
All right. Well, of course, we're always talking about 1965 with the Help album because that came out earlier in 1965. They did that album and they did a movie again, and then went on tour during that time period. The most notable thing I think to talk about on their tour was they did their biggest concert ever, Shea Stadium, which is like very famous concert for them, and it had like 50,000 people or something like that. It was like the biggest concert maybe anybody's ever done at that point. So that was like a big monumental event for them doing that. And so then they came out with this album, I think, I want to say like October or something like that, 1965. They were writing songs. And I mean, I said this, I covered this album on my channel just this last week. And I say it there and I say this, like, I don't think a band has ever put out two amazing albums in 1 year like this. Help and Rubber Soul back to back in the same year. That's crazy. That's crazy talent to be able to pull that off, I think. And so it's crazy. They come out with a Rubber Soul, and I would say like around this point, they were starting to get tired of touring, and we're gonna see that with the next year when we talk about the next album. Like they're really wanting to stop touring, and they were more interested, I think, spend more time in the studio and doing more with the album, spending more time, putting a lot more effects in there, putting a lot more instruments in there, you know, making a different sound. And to me, this is a album that was a change, a little bit of a change. I mean, I feel like it's definitely more influences from folk and folk rock, I think, on this album. I think we really get that out of this album from their influences from Bob Dylan, like we talked about in the last album, Help. You know, of course, and then Birds are coming out with Mr. Tambourine Man, and so folk rock is starting to rev up as well at this point. But if you go from Help to this album, I mean, I feel like you'd say, man, this is just a different sound. Like they really were changing, they were evolving. The guitars sound heavier on here. The bass does. There's a fuzzy bass at one point. The drums are heavier. I don't know. Everything's just sounding different, I think, and they changed the way they took out the Rickenbacker guitars, and you got the Epiphone, guitar here, I believe, is like their main weapon, and everything just sounds a little different. It's still the Beatles. I mean, you still got the great harmonies and melodies and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know, something's just different. It's like they're just evolving at this point. And I think songwriting, again, it's really taken up the influence from the folk and folk rock. It's definitely a little deeper. I feel like we're changing from the old days of Hard Day's Night, where it's and the earlier stuff of She Loves You, I Want to Hold Your Hand, You. All those songs were written with we're writing that to girls in the audience, because the girls are going to go crazy when we sing those songs. To songs where we're singing songs that have a little more deeper meaning to them, I think, overall. And they're not songs that are as easily played in a live audience, I would say. We're doing a little more difficult stuff here. In fact, the only two songs I know of that they played live was Nowhere Man and If I Need Someone, which I believe they played at the Budokan in Japan later on in a concert. And that's the only time they've ever played songs. So you never hear songs from this album sung live, really, which I think is interesting compared to the other albums that they did before anyways. And of course, they're still, doing marijuana and drugs and stuff like that at this point. Really,
This is the pot album. The
Yeah.
next album is the LSD album.
Yes, exactly. They haven't quite got the LSD yet, I think. That comes with the next album, but they're definitely, pot album, I would say.
They have a pot album, an LSD album. When's their cocaine album?
White album.
White album.
And then Sgt. Pepper is the everything album.
Yeah.
Who knows what kind of drugs they were doing with that one.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess that's background. What's going on?
All right. So, what are our brief thoughts on Rubber Soul before we go track by track, starting with Nick?
Okay, so I do prefer the last album, but I wouldn't say this is a step down. It's just more preference. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is a step down, blah blah blah. It's not like this is like from a 10 out of 10 to like, it's like a 6 out of 10. This album's getting a high rating. It's just I happen to prefer the previous album, but there are a lot of great songs on this album.
Okay, so here is my copy of Rubber Soul. This is a first, or I guess a second issue, because the first issue has like a loudness problem. Second issue, British copy that I got on eBay. One of my favorite records in my collection.
Cool.
Hear it exactly as it was originally released. This album begins the Beatles, the Beatles' use of studio, like technicality, and using the studio as an instrument in and of itself. They've done a little bit of that in the past. Like Yesterday had a string quartet on the last album. They played around with some different instruments on the last album, but this is really where they start playing around with sounds and manipulating things for effect. And a lot of that has to do with their producer, George Martin, who's always pushing them to create new sounds and helping them to achieve these crazy ideas they have in their head. I'm not going to go through all of the different effects because I'll kind of talk about them when we get to each of the songs. But there's one particular song that has a really cool effect that I want to talk about. But combine that with the influence of Bob Dylan that we had on the last album, folk rock, and you got this album here, which I guess when you get to this album, all the girls were like, what? They've changed. But then, like, I guess they got more guy fans now. They're like, hold on a second, I'm listening to the Beatles now. Like, what are the Beatles doing? Because I guess the Beatles could have been like the I hate this analogy, but they could have been the big boy band of the day.
Right.
Quotation marks used. It was like all the girls just love the song. Now, the difference between them back then and boy bands now is the songs actually were very well written. Now it's just kind of manufactured. It's Lennon, McCartney, and Harrison are all songwriting geniuses. Mm-hmm. But they're going from that boy band, like we're just wanting to make all the girls scream sound, to they're trying to say something with this album. And this is probably one of the most pivotal albums in music history, which the Beatles released at least 3 or 4 of the most pivotal albums in music history. But this album kind of set up the album as an artwork as a whole for honestly the next 30, 40 years. Like this is the one. Everyone who listened to this album was like, oh, we got to start making our albums more cohesive. It's an artwork in and of itself. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, he heard this album and he said, I got to make an album that is all thematically linked. Boom, you got Pet Sounds. Bob Dylan makes Highway 61 Revisited. I'm pretty sure Bob Dylan had heard this album whenever he came out with Highway 61 Revisited because that was a very cohesive album. Like everybody from this point onward is going to be I'm pretty sure they were influenced by this thing here.
Yeah, let's not forget that since we're doing the Rolling Stone series on Nick's channel, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards heard this album and inspired them to make Aftermath.
I can hear that. Yep. Another really good album.
I really liked it. This is a really nice album. One of my favorites. After the American version, the Capitol version with 12 songs instead of 14, and I think this is what Brian Wilson would have heard.
Yeah,
that inspired him to make Pet Sounds. Anyways, yeah, I remember going through when Scott took me through the Beatles. He was talking about Rubber Soul as like this big turning point. I'm like, ooh, because it had been nice little cool pop songs, and I'm like, oh, Help was pretty nice. And we played Rubber Soul. I was like, oh, this is very different. And yeah, the album as an art piece, I guess, could be derived from this album. And a very cool album cover too. It's just them standing there menacingly with no band name on the front cover.
Right. Yeah.
Because you already know who they are. They don't need to introduce themselves. You know,
we already had Meet the Beatles.
Yes. You don't need an introduction. It's just them sitting there. And of course it's on the spine, but I think this is a very cool album cover. And then they would push even further beyond with the next album cover. I guess we'll talk about later.
So
I didn't
want
to interrupt. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. You can go first, Nick.
I didn't want to interrupt Scott when he was saying that, but it was the other way around. Highway 61 inspired the Beatles to do Rubber Soul.
Oh, that one came out first?
Yeah, but to be honest, Rubber
okay.
Soul is a better album, so I'm not going to.
Yeah,
okay.
The US one, I should say.
What I was going to say is everything before this is kind of that pop sound, more like rock and roll inspired, and everything after this is more like psychedelic or experimental.
Yeah.
And so, for lack of better term, this is that confounded bridge.
Oh,
This is the bridge between. This is the bridge between the poppier stuff and the more experimental stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd argue Help was the more transitional album.
Help and Rubber Soul together are kind of transitions.
I agree. There's a transition.
There's a huge sound between you take those two albums out. Beatles for Sale and Revolver are very different albums. If you would have played those to a random stranger without like, I don't know how you would know who the Beatles were, but like if you didn't, they'd probably said they were by two different bands.
And those two albums are only 2 years apart.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me.
It's 1 year apart. What's crazy is that these next three albums just show a big growth for them, because Help is like this first. To me, Help is the first album where the album starts to become cohesive. Like their writing isn't evolving yet to what this would become, but it's when they're starting to like pay attention more to the track listing. Rubber Soul is like this big, like, we got to start writing more, like, let's stop talking about girls now. Let's actually let's write.
There's still songs about girls on here.
There's even a song on this album called "Girl."
Yes.
Well, it's like when they do write songs about girls, it's not like
it's like In My Life, more from just general romance to more, I don't know, grown up romance. Well, not Run for Your Life. That's not grown up romance. Like songs like In My Life. That's more grown up romance rather than just I Want to Hold Your Hand. Like
right. Yeah.
And we're like, I'm trying to think of another one. Like The Word. Like the word is love. Like you want to spread the word. Like that's more like mature than
Yeah.
say, I'm trying to think of another example. Then I want to hold your hand. She loves you, I guess.
Yeah,
Everybody's
crazy
trying to
is
be my
Everybody's
baby.
trying. No, they
Oh no.
no, they did. They didn't even
They
write
didn't
that.
write
What's-
that, but still, that's an example.
What's nuts
Oh,
is
boy.
that this was literally 2 years after. Like this was 2 years after those songs we just mentioned, their earlier songs. It's crazy the growth, how fast they were.
Yeah.
I won't. They're not one of my favorite bands, but I will respect how quickly it took for them to evolve. Like most bands, it takes them like 5, 6, 7 years to get to that growth. Beatles is like 2 years. It's like okay, we're gonna
I
start.
don't know. I think they knew what they were doing. They slipped under the radar by they're like, we got to break in to the mainstream. They got those hits in, and then they're like, okay, now it's time to do what we want.
Wow,
Let's
that's actually.
experiment.
I didn't think of it that way. That's actually a great way of playing it. That's actually a really good way of
They
playing
did.
it.
They did that. They wore their influences out on their sleeve. Chuck Berry, Little Richard
Yeah.
did covers of them, and then when they got enough following, and they're like, we're the biggest band in the world now. They got to do whatever they wanted on this album.
Yeah, they were innovative for sure.
Mhm.
Innovators. That's a great word.
Mm.
Yeah, the 1960s was just a huge quantum leap in musical advancement, and the Beatles were right there at the front.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they were innovating even with their first album. You know, you had
Yeah.
8 original songs.
Over
Yeah,
half
but
of the songs were original.
Most early 1960s albums, half of it was covers.
Oh, it's always
And you look at the Rolling Stones' first album.
Yeah.
You have
In
one
the-
on
in the
Jagger
Hollies.
The Hollies' first album.
Yeah, look at the Hollies' first album, and most albums at the time were just big hit single, put it on an album, and put a bunch of filler on it.
Yeah.
But then the Beatles came and was like, "How about we write more songs
Yeah.
and start doing that?" Of course, I think the Realms didn't start off as good, but I gave them I respect their early albums more than I like them, but I do respect that they were trying to push more than other artists were trying to push.
Yeah.
And then other bands like The Who and, other bands from 65 that debuted in 65 are like, hey, let's kind of do what the Beatles were doing. Let's start writing all of our songs. And it's
Yeah.
just
And
the evolution.
once again, I
Yeah.
can't express enough the genius of the fifth Beatle, George Martin,
Yes.
who
Yeah.
A, allowed them to have
Yeah.
all this artistic freedom, and B, this guy is such a huge part of their sound. Like you hear all the sounds and this weird sound effects, the experimentations, like they would come up with what they wanted to have in their head, and they'd just be like, George, find a way to make it happen. And then he would do it. Like, and that had to do with not quite yet on this album, but they would sometimes have like reverse the tapes or splice and cut up the tapes, throw them up in the air, and tape them back together just to see what it sounded like. All that, like sped up the tape, slow down the tape, put their finger in the tape just to make it sound warbly, like all this weird stuff. And that was George Martin who came up with that.
All right. So as for me, I think this is a terrific album. You'll find out at the end of the stream whether what I'm going to rate this album or not. But it's a great turning point for the Beatles, where they go from more of the, I think, rock and roll to more experimental. This is more of a folksier album to me than a pure rock and roll album, and I greatly respect it for that. And it's a great album all the way.
The American one is even more folksy. It takes out the electric songs and replaces them with two of the more folksy numbers from Help.
Right.
So we're doing the UK version, so we'll review all those songs since that's the official version of the album. We got a couple more comments on the live chat. We got Jordan. Great to see the review of Rubber Soul. Well, thank you for watching. Rubber Soul would definitely be my second favorite album. I'm pretty sure it's Jason's favorite album as well.
No, it's his second favorite album.
Second favorite album.
Yeah, my second favorite album. Yeah.
It's in my top 10, top 15, top 20, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Well, let's start talking about all the songs on this album. We got our first album opener, and that is Drive My Car.
Okay. Drive My Car. The song itself is really good. I like the driving guitar riff on it. The harmonies are decent on this song. It's probably not one of their best songs with the harmonies, but it's good. The chorus is catchy, and Tyler, what he wrote down in his thing was beep beep. I love that. Not the best opening track though, to be honest, compared to Help from the last album and the next album with Taxman. I feel like those openers are a lot stronger. It's an okay opener, to be honest. I feel like there was a better song on this out. I'll tell you guys which song it is when we get to that song, but I feel like there's a song that would have worked better as an opener. And well, I prefer the US version better because it opens up with "I've Just Seen a Face," and that song is fast paced, and I prefer that as the opener. But that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I love this opener. It's a fantastic opener. To me, it's the I want to say the best or the heaviest rock song they've done to this point. I mean, if you go from Dizzy Miss Lizzy to this, I mean, you see a big step up in just the sound and everything, and just the guitar playing is just amazing on here. That riff, like Nick was saying, I love that. It drives the whole song. And I don't know, everything just sounds heavier. The guitar solo is the best solo I think they've done to this point. It's just a really good rocking solo. That he does that step up. I love it. And it's an unusual, like, the whole song's just about someone needing a driver or the like fame or something. It's not the usual like song you would write about, but that's what kind of makes it a little bit different, like I said, than what they've been writing before. And I'll say it's about Paul McCartney. I just want to say about him, like, he never like originally wanted to be the bass player. He was a guitar player. He could have been the lead guitar player for the Beatles in an alternative world. I think he's that good of a guitar player. But I don't think when it was just Paul, John, and George, neither of the three wanted to be bass players, and they just went out and played as a trio with guitars. And then someone said, "Well, you need a bass and you need a drummer, to go to Hamburg." So they're like, "All right, we're going to get Stu Sutcliffe, who's never played bass before, to be our bass player, and who's terrible. He didn't know how to play." But they thought it's better to have a bad bass player than no bass player, and none of them wanted to do the bass, so they were okay with just having a bad bass player. But then when Stu quit the group after Hamburg, he handed Paul the bass, like, "Here you go." And they said, "Well, someone has to play the bass." And George and John said, "We're not playing the bass." And then Paul's like, "Okay, fine, like, I'll play the bass." And so bass playing at this time was just fairly simple, I feel like, just keep the beat kind of thing. And Paul does a fine job with it. And then you get to this song and this album, and I feel like Paul was like, "You know what? I'm going to be the freaking best bass player ever." And he just kills it at this point on, I think, in the Beatles discography. And when I get to this album, I'm just like, wow, he just really stepped up a level as a bass player, in my opinion, on this, And he could play his guitar in some songs here and there, but I feel like he really owned the bass here, in my opinion.
This is a very good way to open up the album. I like the opening guitar riff, the and then I Got a Fever. The only prescription is more cowbell. The cowbell comes in. Ringo's drum beat with the cowbell. Oh, such a good group. And then we get to the chorus. "Baby, you can drive my car." Oh, it gets stuck in your head. Yeah, the piano. Bum, 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 bum. And "Baby, I love you." And then it gets to the beep, 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 yeah. And then the guitar solo. I believe the guitar solo was played by McCartney on this one. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that McCartney does this guitar solo on this one. But this is just a very up-tempo rocking song, and I think it's a good way to introduce the new sound of the Beatles.
Yeah, Paul did the guitar solo on this.
Makes sense, man.
It always amuses me how, like, a lot of my favorite guitar solos are not from George Harrison.
I know.
It's like my all-time favorite guitar solo from them, Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
While My Guitar Gently Weeps, second favorite guitar solo, Eric Clapton. Buy My Car, third favorite guitar solo, Paul McCartney. I'm like, Come on, George. Is there gonna be a guitar solo that I love? That's you. Like,
Something.
I said something's the one. Yeah, I think about, but yeah.
it's okay. I like it. It's not one of their best.
Oh man, that's my favorite guitar
Let it
solo of all time. Yeah, let it be.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the single version or the album version? Because I prefer the single version actually.
I always listen to the album version, so I don't know much about the single version.
It's a lot more mellow.
Okay.
I would say.
Ooh, I'm feeling mellow.
They're both good.
All right. So,
All right.
All right.
oh my goodness gracious.
All right.
All right. All
Never hear
right.
the end of it.
It's all right.
All right. This song's awesome. Oh my goodness. This is the signal of the new sound of the Beatles. Kind of they're doubling down on this new heavier guitar sound. Yeah, the bass is much improved on this album. And as much as I think Paul McCartney really starts to stretch the bass, there's only one man who stands in his way,
The man
and
who
it's the Ox.
Yeah.
was introduced the same year.
Yeah, came out
Yes, the same year with the My Generation solo, bass solo. But yes,
Yeah.
but yeah, I love this song. The beat part is my favorite part of the song. I love that part. It's so fun to sing, and man, they have this talent for making you sing along to nearly every song they play. It's great. It's great songwriting.
I don't know if we're gonna have a sing-along moment on this video though, like the CCR one.
Yeah, it could happen. Before I share my thoughts, Jordan has some more stuff. He says, "Yeah, great stuff. Hopefully, at some point, I can join and review Revolver with you guys. Is that cool? If you want to join,
That one is up to Jacob because it's his series.
yeah. You can join.
Yeah.
You on Facebook?
I think he is.
It's in our group chat.
He's in
Okay.
Yeah, he's in the Music Junkie
He's in
group
the-
chat.
All right. That'd be good. All right, this song. I think it's a great way to open the album. It's actually, I'd say it's the most rocking track on the album. It's not as folksy compared to the rest of the album, but I think it's a great way to showcase this new sound of the Beatles that Tyler just brought up. And they've matured as a group since their early years. I think this song has a great chorus. The production on it is pretty awesome. Is this my favorite song on the album? No, I'd say it's in the middle of my ranking, but it's still really, really good. Now we go to the next track on the album. We start going into that folksy side. It even has a sitar on it. Norwegian Wood, this bird has flown.
Well, before I start reviewing the song, this is not the first time a popular band uses the sitar in their song. Because I was assuming that someone was going to mention that the Kinks were, but I will say this is an amazing song. This is in my top 5. Just gonna spoil it now. 4 John Lennon songs are in my top 5. He's at a peak right now.
This is Lennon's best album, in my opinion.
He has some great. Yeah.
Yeah, this is right now. He's peaking. He's peaking right now.
This album and the next one are kind of the two best albums for the Lennon-McCartney songwriting partnership.
Yeah.
Like where you get just as many good Lennon and McCartney songs rather than before this it's more Lennon and after this it's more McCartney.
And then George puts his best work too. So yeah.
Oh yeah, George is starting to become a songwriting monster on this album.
Well, we get to him when we get to him, but yeah, the sitar works really well. I love the Indian influence on this one. Love the storytelling in such a short song. What else? Always found it amusing how at the end he's like he gets up from the bathtub and then he burns something. I always assume it's the fire. He's burning the house down.
Yep.
Yeah. But we're supposed Thank you.
Not the wife, the girl left, so I'm gonna burn her house down. So leave no evidence because I'm having an affair right now.
A little bitter, yeah.
So when he says, "Isn't it good?" I'm like, "No, it's not
Nope.
good. Not good at all." But the song itself, though, was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously one of the big songs on this album that's very well known for a good reason. It's one of the great Beatles songs of all time. Yeah, it definitely has more of a folk influence from. It sounds like it could be on a Bob Dylan album. I mean, it's that good quality of like songwriting and everything. Um, and yeah, I just love that acoustic guitar with the sitar together with that bum 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 bum. Oh, it's such a great like little like riff that goes throughout that song. And yeah, I think it's about how he was still married to his wife Cynthia, but of course he's having affairs like crazy on her. I don't know if he's met. I don't think he's met Yoko yet.
Not
Maybe.
till
No, that was-
68, I think.
Yeah, so it's a little bit later. So yeah, it seems like he's writing about having an affair or something like that, kind of thing, secretly. But we all know what's going on. We all know John's messing around. But yeah, and I know one of the great songwriting. I once had a girl, or should I say, she once had me. Always a great opening, one of the best opening lines of the song, I think. And I just love how it flows as a song. And I was all alone, or something like that. This bird has flown. Just how he rhymes them together, and also the harmonies are absolutely. This album, I think, is the best harmonies like so far of all their albums. Like the harmonies on these songs are just fantastic, like next level. Like some of the greatest harmonies I've ever heard, and why I love a lot of these songs like this one. Just harmonies when Paul comes in and they're singing together. It's like, oh my gosh, they sound so great together. It's an absolutely fantastic song.
Okay, so now we're starting with the folky sound. This song is a very interesting song because the scale that it's based off of is a mode. It's not major or minor. It's Mixolydian, which means it's a major scale with a flat seventh. That's musicianese for it's a weird sound.
Right.
But Mixolydian is used a lot in rock music. I know Tyler's gonna like AC/DC uses Mixolydian mode a lot because it has a very powerful sound using a flat seven. The guitar starts out and then you get the sitar behind that, which is really interesting. Apparently George Harrison was inspired to figure out how the thing worked after filming in India on the Help movie. Saw a sitar and was like, "What's that? How do I learn how to play that?" And so he learned how to play that and used it on this song here, which of course would then inspire the Rolling Stones to do Paint It Black. But yeah, it's a cool song. It's not really one of my favorites on the album, but like this is a very good album, so all these songs are amazing. We already talked a little bit about the storytelling, kind of a weird story. John Lennon coming up with this affair story, and it's like, nope, she left me, so I'm going to burn her house down. It's like, that's kind of a weird way to end your song.
Yeah.
Not the darkest lyrics on the album, though, oddly enough. But this of the two lyrically darker songs, this is the better one.
Yeah.
And if you think that John Lennon and all he's doing is writing these dark lyrics, listen to "In My Life" or "Nowhere Man." Those are a lot lighter.
All right. This is a really fun song. I like the sitar on here, and John and Paul, again, they sound really good singing together. Beatles are really good with those harmonies. Yeah, this is a fun song, and John being John, I guess, cheating on his wife, poor Cynthia.
Yep.
And poor Julian. They both deserve better, but yeah, I really enjoyed this song. It's just fun, a great follow-up. Again, starting that folksy song, having that rocking intro. It kind of reminds me, we're going a little off track, but it kind of reminds me of Beggar's Banquet, where you start off with Sympathy for the Devil, kind of rocking song, and then they go into like the country songs for the rest of the album. And this is kind of like what this is, or I guess they were inspired by him, by the Beatles. We had the Drive My Car, the rocker song, and now you have the chill folksy stuff with the sitar, and yeah, pretty nice. I like it.
All right. Going into the folksy side here, I love the production of this song, especially the use of the sitar that drives into the melody of the song. Such a lovely melody. I forget this song has dark lyrics because of how lovely the melody is. But the storytelling in the song is fascinating. Just some of it is kind of weird though, like the bathtub and all that. But, I think this song is it's one of my favorites on the album. This is kind of John Lennon's album, I would say. 3 songs on this album are in my top 5 that are John Lennon's, and this is one of them. I think this song is fantastic.
I haven't exactly made my top 5 yet, but I know my favorite song on this album is a John Lennon song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we get our actually technically Paul led Drive My Car, but we got another Paul song. Next is You Won't See Me.
Yeah, this is a really good follow-up. Very catchy chorus. You won't see me. You won't see me. Lyrically, this song's amazing. Yeah, very enjoyable song.
Yeah, it's a great Paul McCartney song. It's not one of his bigger songs. I would say it's a little lesser known. It's one of the songs, if you don't know it, you get to on the album, you're like, oh, what is this? This is incredible. And this is even one of the best songs on the album. And you're like, man, there's so much good stuff here. But yeah, I just love that, you won't see me, you won't see me. And then that whole time after time, I wouldn't mind if I knew what I was like, the way he's a little bit higher and a little louder, and it's like this great crescendo. And it's like, oh my gosh, vocals amazing. Love everything. The backing vocals all work so well. It's a great song.
Another great song on this album. I love the piano that I believe is played by George Martin on this song.
Yeah. It says, "You won't see me, Paul on piano."
Oh, it's Paul on the piano. Oh, okay. Well, the piano really helps to make this song. It adds a new layer of sound. I love the counter melody in the second half of the chorus, where when he's singing like "I wouldn't mind if I knew what I was missing," and I think it's John singing in the background. No, I wouldn't. No, I would. Ooh. I like how that plays very well with Paul's lead melody line there, and I love the bum bum dum dum and yeah, Ringo's drumming on this song is really good. Honestly, all of the songs on this album, I already talked about the cowbell. There wasn't really any drums on Norwegian Wood, but I mean, Ringo was playing like the cymbal, I think, like cymbals on Norwegian Wood, but Ringo's drumming on this album is very good.
Yeah.
All right, You Won't See Me. I like the song. I like the whatever they're doing. Ba 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 ba. You won't see me. I don't know what their like vocalizations. Ba 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 ba, something like that.
Kind of call and response thing.
Yeah. This is a really good. This is a really good song. It's kind of like sad boy hours for Paul here. Girl doesn't treat him very well, I guess. So he wrote a song about it.
Yeah, he likes to write that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a really fun song. A really good song. Again, all these songs are really good, so hard to say much.
Yeah, this is a really good song. It's catchy, good production. I love the harmonies. Like you won't see me. With that said, it's my least favorite song on the album.
Oh.
That tells you how good this album is, though, because I really like this album, but just the song has to be in last place, and for me, I like the other songs more.
Okay.
Well, now we go to our next track. We go back to John Lennon. He's a real nowhere man, sitting in his nowhere land.
Making plans for nobody.
Buddy.
Okay. This is a really good song as well. It's made my top 5. Really, really good song. Again, John Lennon's killing it lyrically. The song's about him. He wrote it specifically for himself. He's the nowhere man. He wrote it for himself.
I thought this song was about a cartoon character named Jeremy Hillary Boob.
No, no, it's about John Lennon.
Yeah,
That's another reason I don't like the Yellow Submarine movie. Is how they twist the songs to make them about the cartoon. It's like that's not what any of these songs are about.
yeah, exactly.
Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is not the Pepperland whatever band. It's a band that Paul made up on a plane trip.
Well, going back to what I was saying, the harmonies are great, really, really good. I think musically it's really nice. Nice guitar solo. I will say. Was that George Harrison? Please tell me that was George Harrison.
It's George Harrison.
Okay, great. I get to praise George on his guitar play. I'll say, I swear.
I think it's George and John playing in unison. Now that I think about it,
it's still we get George. I'm like, please tell me it's not Paul, because I don't want to give all the credit to Paul on my favorite guitar solos. But it's a great guitar solo. Really good song. Even though it's dark, it's brief. It's a fun dark song. That,
it's more lighter than Norwegian Wood, because it's more encouraging. Even though he's a nowhere man, he tells them, "What is it? Don't worry, take your time, don't hurry. The world is, or till someone else lends you a hand. Like the world's at your command, stuff like that."
Yeah, and I really like. Probably one of my favorite part of the song is at the beginning where it's just a cappella.
Yeah. Oh,
he's a real nowhere man, sitting in his nowhere land. And then the music comes in and boom, 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 boom. Great song. Very enjoyable.
Yeah, this is another pretty big song in there. It's pretty well known, I think. One of the greats. It's one of my favorites. Pretty high up on when I did my Beatles ranking every song. It was pretty high on my list. I absolutely love this song. For what Nick said, the acapella harmonies at the beginning, and then all the instruments come in. I love how they did that. And just again, a little more deeper meaning, I think, like we're talking about. Less about, just pop songs about girls, and it has a little more deeper meaning to it, which I love. What I used to go see, like this Beatles tribute band called American English back in the day, really good tribute band, and they would always say something like, "We're going to dedicate this next song to so and so," and then they start with, "He's a real nowhere man." I was like, "Oh, that's such a great joke." It gets me every time I hear them say it. And I'm like, "Yeah, it's such a great dedication to somebody." Start with "He's a real nowhere man." But I love that guitar solo too. I loved how it does that. And it hits this like high note, bing, like this ringing high note. And I'm like, oh, that's such an awesome touch that you don't get on other albums. I think definitely are just getting so much better instrumentally or something on here, like we're talking about. But yeah, it's the harmonies, some of the best harmonies ever. Love the song.
This song is amazing. Growing up, when I was first getting into the Beatles, I would listen to the Red Album. And I had a specific section of the Red Album that was always my favorite section, and Nowhere Man kind of was one of the kickoff points of that section. And then I came to find out that like that section was all the songs from Rubber Soul, so that made me check out the Rubber Soul album later on, because I'm like, most of my favorite songs on the Red Album are from Rubber Soul. I got to check that album out.
Yeah,
I wasn't disappointed. But this song's always been one of my favorite Beatles songs. I love the a cappella opening, Paul, John, and George singing together. And then the music comes in, the guitar, little boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And then it kind of does that every time before the chorus. The chorus is very catchy. Nowhere man, don't worry, take your time, don't hurry. And you got the harmonies. Oh, la, 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 la. Oh, it's so good. And I love the guitar solo. A fun fact about this guitar solo, George Harrison and John Lennon, apparently they play it in unison. They wanted a very specific sound for this song, so they wanted to buy a new guitar or 2 new guitars just for this song. So they had somebody, it might have been George Martin, I don't know who, but they had somebody go down to the store and buy them 2 Fender Stratocasters, which if you think of an electric guitar in your head, the shape you're thinking of is probably a Fender Stratocaster. It's that guitar, like, the one that Jimi Hendrix had, the one that everyone thinks of when they think of electric guitar. And John, we don't know what happened to his Stratocaster. It got lost or whatever. I don't know where it is. But George's guitar, it was blue originally, but he ended up painting it all these weird colors, and he named it Rocky. And so this is Rocky's first song. And if you want to know what Rocky looks like, it's most famously used in the I Am the Walrus music video. That's the guitar he's using in the I Am the Walrus music video. And I love the end of the guitar solo where it's like boom, 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 doing that harmonics on the guitar.
Yeah,
really nice touch. Because it kind of like it's like it goes down, boom, 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 which kind of gives you kind of a sad feeling. Within the boom, it's more of a hopeful feeling. Kind of, I don't know, going off the lyrics. Maybe I'm putting too much into this song. I don't know. I like that. I like the ups and downs. The song has a lot of ups and downs. You'll feel melancholy, and then you'll feel more hopeful later on, which is kind of I think what John was going for with this song.
All right, Nowhere Man. It's between this one and I think Drive My Car, my favorite song on this album. Yeah, Nowhere Man is a great song. My goodness. It's unfortunately left off of the American cut of this album.
That's what Yesterday and Today is for.
We do have, yes, they put it on a different album, which is not bad. But
I think it works. Sorry to interrupt you, Tyler. In my opinion, I think the songs that weren't on the U.S. Rubber Soul worked better on Yesterday and Today.
Yeah,
I think Drive My Car. I said it's weak on this as an opener for this album, but for Yesterday and Today, it's an awesome opener. Well, because I want to review the U.S. albums at some point on my channel. I know Jason would join me on that, but
if I was to rank the Beatles U.S. catalog, Yesterday and Today would probably be in my top 7 Beatles albums.
But yeah, I definitely want to review not all the U.S. albums, but the important ones, like U.S. Rubber Soul, Yesterday, Today, Hey Jude. I know we're doing Magical Mystery on this channel, so we're going to skip on that album, but I want to hit on some important
Meet
albums.
the Beatles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Introducing the Beatles.
No.
Does that count?
Capitol Records only.
A VJ.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, Tyler.
No worries. Nowhere Man is a really good song. Oh my goodness. This is one of my favorite albums from them, and Nowhere Man is a big part of that. Even though it's off the U.S., I love the UK album too as well. I struggle between which I like better. But yeah, Nowhere Man is another great song from John Lennon. John Lennon's really getting a lot of great songs in this album.
All right, so my introduction to this song was actually in the Yellow Submarine movie. That's why I made the reference to Jeremy Booth.
No. No.
And I love that song when I heard when I saw the movie. So that tells you, even though that's a divisive movie, I think they got something right. It got me introduced to a really good Beatles song. And it works great on this album. It's one of my favorites on the album. It's in my top 5. I think everyone else has said it best. The acapella intro is awesome. The guitar work is great. The harmonies are awesome. Really smart lyrics. I don't think I realized until a couple weeks ago that John was writing this about himself. I think that makes the song more interesting than him singing it about a cartoon character. But I still love Yellow Submarine, don't get me wrong. But I think this is a really good song and one of my favorites on the album. Almost forgot to mention Jordan had some more comments. I almost forgot to mention, and Jordan did clarify that he is on Facebook. So
Yes.
well, we'll work on that.
You want to join us at the end of the video, Jordan?
He says,
He's
"You
in
have a
our-
great channel. Thanks for doing these. You're welcome."
I think he's in our group chat.
I said, do you want to join us at the end of the video?
Yeah, if you want to join, you can join. If he's still watching. All right, our next song is the first of 2 George Harrison tracks, and that is "Think for Yourself."
It's George.
All right.
It's good, George.
I love this song. It's a great follow up. Kind of the same way with Drive My Car, just hits you right in the face with the guitar riff. Really, really good lyrics. I really like the harmonies on this. Yeah, it's a really good song. It's my least favorite song on the album, though. But yeah, I still really enjoy it though. kind of the same things. What does it say, Jordan? Jacob was talking about with "You Won't See Me." Like it just happened to place on the bottom.
Yeah, it's another very interesting song. I think what really drives the song is that fuzzy guitar sound. Boom, 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 boom.
Bum bum bum.
It's such a
Boom,
cool
boom, boom, boom.
that we've never heard before on a Beatles song before, and all of a sudden you hear this. I remember first time hearing this album and being like, "What is that?" Like I've never heard that sound before, and it's so cool. And to me, that's what makes the song go from just an okay song to a really cool song on the album. Again, yeah, I would say it's not even towards the top of my list because there's so many amazing songs here, and still it's a really solid song, just a solid kind of cool like little rock song with that sound, that bass sound, whatever, that fuzzy sound. It's just and the way it plays, it's just so cool. I really like it. But yeah, it's another really solid song on here.
This is a really cool song. This is where I feel like George kind of really steps into his songwriter's boots. This album, because this song, really cool. I love what McCartney does with the fuzzy bass sound. Boom, 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 and then good harmonies as well. To say about the things that you have in mind. Dun, 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 ba-da-da-da-da, ba-dun-dun-dun. The bass and the vocals really play off of each other. Dun, 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 dun. And I like how the song just suddenly stops like that. Dun, 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 dun. And the next song picks up right where it left off. It's like dun, 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 bum, bum, bum. I like that. It's a really good George song. I just think of the 2 George songs, I love both of them. I think I like the other one a bit more.
Oh, all right. Think for yourself. I really love the bass effect on here, fuzzy bass, and yeah, it's a really good George song. George, I forget what song George had on Help. Someone can remind me.
I need you.
I need you.
No, not the Keith Moon song.
Yeah, this is he's growing as a songwriter. You know, he had his debut with the Beatles, and I think he had. Did he have a song in Beatles for Sale?
Everybody's trying to be my baby.
I love you, my baby. Well, everybody.
Never mind. But yeah, he had some pretty mediocre or terrible songs during the first couple albums, and Help in this album, he's really starting to really excel as a songwriter. And then he'll even open the next album.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. He's Taxman.
Arguably the best Beatles song for me.
Yeah, and it opens the next album. It's like, John Lennon and McCartney are like, whoa, this song's really cool. We'll put it as the first song. Done.
One,
And it's like, wow.
2, 3.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Think for Yourself is pretty good. I really enjoyed it. Great stuff. I love the piano and the bass. Or no, there's no piano, it's just bass, the fuzz bass. That's the big highlight, the fuzz bass.
Yeah, I really like this one as well. It's crazy to see the growth that George Harrison had. On Please Please Me, he started out with 2 covers. I'm probably the only one in the group that thought Chains was awesome, but that's just me. But his first written song, Don't Bother Me, that was weak.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to see some really great stuff from George. Help Onward, and this is another great track. I think it's near the bottom of my personal ranking of the songs on this album, but it's still a catchy song. Great production. George is leading very well on this one. I'd still really like this one, even though I think there's another George song we'll get to. I think it's even better. All right, we got another comment. Oh, Jordan says sure and yes, he'll join us in the after party.
Did someone say yes? Q roundabout.
Q every days.
All right, our next song on the album. See now the word is love.
The bird is the word. What?
Bird. Bird is the word. Bird. Bird is the word. Well, guess what? Bird is not the word. The word is love.
The word's love.
In the word, and you'll be free. So fat, sunshine. The word, love. Yeah. After that thumping guitar riff on Think for Yourself, and that when it ends, I instinctively hear the piano come right after it.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's almost like We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. You can't have one without the other.
Exactly. It's impossible for me to hear
Yeah.
Think for Yourself and not have this come right after it, because I was listening to this album on the way to the Ranger game, and my dad listened to it on shuffle, and then after this song, and then another song came out. I'm like, no, that's not how you do it. No.
He had Rubber Soul on shuffle.
Nick, I hate to say it, but perhaps the Good Luck Charm, the reason it didn't work is because it was on shuffle.
I don't know, but that broke my heart. But yeah, I cannot hear Think for Yourself without bum bum ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum bum ba-bum bum bum ba-dum. Say the word. Say the word and be like me. Say the word I'm thinking of. Have you heard the word of love? So fine, sunshine. It's the word love. So awesome. The more we're talking about this album, the more happy I'm getting.
Yay!
Getting more and more of a good mood now. That might affect my score on this album. Who knows? But yeah, it's awesome. And alas, it is not a top 5. I wish it was.
Wow. Too many good songs on this album.
Oh yeah, so many great songs here, and this to me a really great deep cut on the album. Kind of, it's not a well-known Beatles song at all, and yet it's really great. It's a song like this isn't even a big Beatles song. It's so good, like some of the other ones on here. That's why I love this album. So even to me, the deep cuts are just absolutely amazing. And I love that intro, like Nick was saying. Oh, what a great intro! And then the harmonies are just so great. Like I said, the harmonies are so good on this album, including this one. And we're just singing along with that. And I'm thinking I can hear it in my head when we're singing along. Those harmonies are so good. And I just add, like, I love this thing that they did when John's singing, I've been misunderstood or something like that. The word is good. And they have this guitar playing. Bam, 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 bam. It's playing while he's singing. And it's kind of strange. It's different. And I really like it because it's like, wow, that's so cool. Like, they could have just left John just singing it by himself and just have the guitar just, compliment him. but instead the guitar is also playing something while he's singing, and it's different, yet it works together for me. And it shows it just shows how they've evolved, I think, as musicians.
The verses is so good.
Mm.
Look at the lyrics. Everywhere I go, I hear it said in the good and the bad books that I have read.
Said the one.
You'll be free.
This song is amazing. I remember when I first listened to Rubber Soul, getting to this song, and when this song came on, I said, "This is it. This is my favorite Beatles album." So for a short time, Rubber Soul was my favorite Beatles album. Not anymore, but it was a very brief time where Rubber Soul was my favorite Beatles album. This song, so good. I love the harmonies, especially on the last verse. It's like they add more harmonies on the last verse because in the first two, the choruses. The first two choruses, it's the normal harmonies. When you get to the last chorus, you get someone, most likely Paul, going like, "Say the word and you'll be free. Say the word and be like me. Say the word and everything. It's so the only word is love." It's like they're adding this extra high part up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then nobody's talked about George Martin playing the harmonium yet. It's kind of an odd instrument. It's that weird sound that you hear. That's George Martin playing that. Yeah. I always think that like some of the instrument choices on this album are very odd, but yet perfect for the songs that they choose. Like this harmonium solo in the middle of the word. But that, and I love the piano. Ba ba da ba da bam. The piano and the guitar play off each other very well. Ba ba da ba da bam 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 bam. Very syncopated. Very good. I like the guitar. I like the bam bam bam. Like they're killing that upstroke. Man, what else can I say about this song? It's really good. You'll listen to it. You should listen to it sometime.
Yes. Oh, this is such a catchy song. The word is great. Man. Yeah, very, very catchy. You know the world. Yeah, this is one of my favorites on the album. Great stuff.
Cool.
The word, man.
It almost kind of slips into a different time signature there when you get to the "It's so fun, it's so shine."
All right, so yeah, this song is pretty catchy. I like the groove on it. The chorus is awesome. Say the word and you'll be free. Say the word and love. It's very singable.
Yeah,
it might have been the precursor to "All You Need Is Love." I'm reminded of that song when I hear it. I think I like "All You Need Is Love" over this one.
John's very
Me
hip.
too.
John loves the love.
Yeah,
maybe a little too much.
Yeah, especially after the Norwegian Wood thing in the last song. What's he playing at? But all jokes aside, great song. Not in my top 5, but it's at least in my top 10 on this album. It's pretty good. All right, got a couple. All right, Jordan says yes about joining in later after the stream. That's good. Our next song, the last song on side 1, Paul McCartney tune. Very popular song on this album. This was a favorite song from a former first lady with the same name, and Paul McCartney actually performed this song to her.
Oh,
Michelle.
Well, so in this series, I've kind of been hit or miss with Paul McCartney when he's like trying to be the lover boy, but this is a hit for me. For the most part, it's just good, but when he does the French, it adds texture to it. It adds something special. And if the French wasn't in it, this would just be another McCartney song I'm not crazy about. But him adding the French to it really adds something special to it. Quand je pense so, like, I wouldn't say he's speaking French, but like he has that Frenchness to it. Like you definitely tell you like feels like McCartney's seducing me in France. And for some reason it works. On any other circumstance, I'd be like, no, this is awful, but no, I really enjoy this.
So if Nick was a professional music critic, on the back of the case of Rubber Soul, it would say, Paul McCartney seducing me in French.
Yeah. Well, me and Jason are gonna do a Hermit's Hermit series at some point, and they kind of have a song similar to this, but I think it's awful because it doesn't have the same charm as this song does. Like, I feel like McCartney's the only one who could pull this off. Hats off to him.
Yeah,
But not Ray Harper.
the interesting trivia on this song is that it won the Grammy for Song of the Year. It's the only Beatles song that won the Grammy Song of the Year.
Oh, wow.
The only one.
Yeah,
That's
which is to me a weird song to be the one song of all
Yeah,
the songs.
especially with such a big catalog of Beatles songs.
Yeah. Of all the songs they could have picked from on this album, let's say if you just said this album, like, and this is my hot take, this is my least favorite song on the album. I'm not a big song, and I'm so shocked at that trivia fact that it won a Song of the Year. I'm like, man, give me Norwegian Wood, give me Nowhere Man, give me In My Life. That should be Song of the Year, not Michelle. But evidently it has a fan base because people liked it enough they gave it an award. So it must have a pretty big fan base. I've never been a big fan of it. It's a little slow moving to me. You know, I don't know. I'm never really into it. But I will say the guitar playing is really good, and Paul's vocals are really good. When I listened to this the other day, when he does that, I love you, I love you, I love you. That's really good Paul McCartney vocals. So I will say there's some good stuff about the song. But I don't know. It's never been a favorite of mine.
Wow, that's funny because that's actually I thought you would absolutely love this song. This is my dad's favorite song on Rubber Soul. And he said when he first heard this when he was younger, he said it was his all-time favorite song.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, I love this song. It's not my favorite song on the album, but man, it's such a beautiful song. I love the way that Paul McCartney is playing the guitar on this song. Very interesting chords used on this song. Kind of used to build tension. Apparently McCartney, whenever the Beatles were at parties, he used to just whip out a guitar and start playing he called it his French song. And so when they were in the studio, they're like, Paul, why don't you record your French song for this album? And so he's like, okay. And Michelle was put on the album. I love George Harrison's guitar solo on this. It has a very clean, laid-back tone on it, but it's he plays very well over the chord changes, the kind of the interesting chord changes that Paul uses on this song. With that kind of muffled guitar tone, I think it really, really helps. It's a muffled, very jazzy sounding guitar tone. I can tell he's using the neck pickup on this one. And of course, we talked about the French. Really cool. And the good backing vocals as well. It's an amazing song.
all right, Michelle. Wonderful song to end this first side. Again, the French bit adds a really cool texture to the song. And,
Does it add extra texture?
Yes.
Does George Harrison's guitar add extra texture?
Got yourself. You can't even do it, Mike.
I can't even say it right.
Yes.
Extra texture.
Extra texture.
Extra texture.
Yes.
Extra texture. Extra texture.
Yeah.
Extra texture.
Michelle is a
Extra
pretty cool song.
texture.
I enjoy.
About it.
I think this is a good song in the first side.
All right. I guess I might be the biggest fan of this song. the funny thing is, like, I've heard people talk about this song, but my introduction to this song was when I listened to the album for the first time. So this is a newer
Wow.
song for me, and yet it's one of my favorite songs on this album. It's in my top 5. I think this song is excellent. Great guitar ballad. Paul sings his heart out on it. The harmonies on it are really good. Really, really catchy song. I didn't even know this one song of the year until Jason brought it up, and to me, it's crazy that this is their only win when they have so many excellent songs that could have won along with it. But
Grammy.
with that said, still a great song. I can see why it's a favorite among so many people, including Michelle Obama. It's a great song.
Yeah. Just a side note, when I saw Paul McCartney in concert, yeah, he has back in 2017, he has this part in the concert where he has people from the audience come up that like had signs, and they brought like some people up, and then he's like, hey, hello, what's your name? And this one girl says, my name's Michelle, and Paul goes, hey, I wrote a song about that. And it just made me laugh so hard. And she's like, yeah, I know. And I was like, I don't know, just the way Paul McCartney improvised that line, I thought was so great. Like, yeah, Paul, we all know you wrote a song called Michelle. It's no secret there.
All right, so now we finish side 1, and now we flip the record and begin side 2, the last 7 tracks on this album. The first song on side 2, the song was written by 3 people: Paul McCartney, John Lennon, and some fellow by the name of Richard Starkey.
Who's he?
Who's that guy?
The birth name
The
of
sixth
the
Beatle?
man that we know is Ringo Starr. And this is the song Ringo leads.
I think
It's
is
moved on.
this the only song that is credited to the 3 of them?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I was kinda very
It said Ringo co-wrote this song, but on the Wikipedia page it's credited to Richard Starkey. That's his real name.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Richard Starkey. Can you imagine him going? Can you imagine if he tried having a career with that name?
John, Paul, George, and Richard.
Yeah.
Richard Starkey performing Octopus's Garden.
It doesn't quite have the same ring as John Paul Jones and Ringo.
Like Reginald Dwight.
Yeah.
Or Gordon Sumner.
Would you mind letting me know who sings the song Yellow Submarine? Oh yes, that's Richard Starkey.
All right, what goes on?
Well, I enjoyed the song. It's a good song on its own, but this song sticks out like a sore thumb. Like, I'd say the first song, Drive My Car, sticks out too for not being part of the folk sound, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of it being a country song. Like, I love country music. Like, me and Jacob are doing two country artists, so that should try to prove that I like the genre. But I don't know. I don't think having a country song in the mix of kind of rock and folk songs belong. That may or may not affect my rating.
Yeah, Ringo with another country-ish song on. Kind of reminds me of Help when he didn't act natural, but he does really well. It fits his voice, I think in a way. And just to say, when I saw Ringo in concert, he mentions about that he co-wrote the song, or whatever. And in the writing notes, it says, I think Lennon, McCartney, and Starkey, like in the parentheses or something like that. And he said something about he wanted his name first, but due to politics, Lennon and McCartney got their name on first. It was kind of a joke he was making, like I wanted my name on first, but they had to do Lennon McCartney. He said, or something. I forget. It was kind of funny the way he kind of told the story about it. But yeah, so it's kind of cool to see his name on there. I think they have one song that all 4 of them are on. Flying. Yeah. Magical Mystery Tour.
Oh no! Yeah.
That's only another one on it, I believe. And this has 3 names on it. I think the harmonies are really good. Of course, the backing vocals are great. It's definitely one of the weaker songs on the album. It doesn't really fit with the rest of the album as well. Like I said, there's these great innovations, the way the music sounds in a lot of the songs, and this one just seems a little more just a simple country kind of sounding song, but it's still fun. It's not bad. It's one I can listen to and be like, yeah, it's a nice little Ringo number. It's better than anything he did, before Help. All the stuff he did.
True.
Boys, I love the boys.
Yeah.
This is better than anything he did on the
Pun don't.
first.
I got a matchbox, baby.
No,
On the
Matchbox. No.
not the Matchbox. Not the Matchbox Ringo.
Oh,
I don't want to hear Matchbox. I want to hear they're gonna put me in the movies.
oh yeah.
Okay, I think that this is one of the most overhated Beatles songs. Everyone is like, this is one of the worst Beatles songs. And I listen to it, I'm like, I actually really like this song. I might be the person who likes this song the most.
Okay.
It's not in my top 5. It's probably near the bottom, but still, I like this song. It's one of the better Ringo songs. I like it when Ringo goes country. So maybe I'll like the Boku of Blues album. We'll see. But I like how he sings and drums. I'm assuming he's singing and drumming at the same time. So that's what he had to do back in these days.
Yeah,
Unlike Mr. Phil Collins back here, who overdubbed them separately.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like this song. It's probably ranks near the bottom, but it's a fun little Ringo number.
Yeah.
All right. What goes on in the StreamYard? That's what I gotta say. Yeah, this is a fun song. I enjoy it. I think they gave Ringo a pretty good song to do, and he co-wrote it. So of course they're just like, yeah, this is a nice little country song. We'll have Ringo sing it, just like in the same vein as the song he sang on the last album, Act Naturally. That was a cover. But yeah, this is a fun song. I don't think it's horrible, but it's not in my top 5. But I really enjoy it.
I think I'm going to have to disagree with Nick. Not only do I think this is a great song, but I think it works on this album well. I think country and folk, even though they are technically different genres, I do think they are similar to one another, to where I think a full-blown country song would fit this album fine. And I actually think this is a great song. Ringo has proven to me that I actually prefer Ringo doing country sounds than some of his attempts to do rock music, as evidenced by how awesome Blues is.
I agree.
So, I think I'm going to love that Buku's a Blues album. I think that one's if that ends up being my favorite Ringo album when we cover the solo Beatles eventually, then yeah, that says something right there. I love this song, really catchy. I love Ringo doing that country sound. I'm going to say this is an honorable mention. I might, I think I might like this song the most out of all of us. I think it's really awesome.
Well, before we continue with the next song, Ringo's going to release another EP doing all country. So I'm excited for that. And well, people are going to hate me, but it's just my opinion. But Ringo's Buku's a Blue album is my favorite solo Beatle project. So yeah, that's to tell you I love him doing country music. I love it a lot. His voice, for some reason, it just works.
Yeah.
It just works perfectly.
It does.
I don't know why.
I know.
Like any other.
I know, because his singing is so British. But yet he pulls off the genre well.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
The
fact that I think this might be like that album might be better than Tug of War and Plastic Ono Band should say a lot.
Wow. All right. Well, let's go to the next track. We're going back to John Lennon. You had mentioned that, I think, who's the one that said John didn't meet Yoko until 1968? Oh, see, I thought he wrote this song about Yoko going in. So
No.
okay,
No.
But it feels like this is the song he could have wrote to Yoko, and the song is called "Girl."
Girl.
Okay, this song is awesome. This is a top 5 easily. Right, opens up right with, "Is there anybody going to listen to my story? All about the girl who came to say she's the kind of girl you want so much it makes you sorry. Still, you don't regret a single day. Ah, girl." And then them snorting cocaine for some reason.
Yeah.
No,
Girl.
that's not what it is.
I have a very good imagination. I like the guitar solo in the middle. That's really cool. Or should I say the end? I think. Yeah, girl, girl. Oh yeah, no one. Elton John when he made Rock of the Westies.
Oh yeah.
Darling girl.
Live footage of he just timestamped when John Lennon breathed in. It's like Elton John, circa 1976 or 1975, whatever it was.
Yeah. That's how you party.
Right. You get the
Live footage of Fleetwood Mac making rumors.
Oh my gosh.
live footage of Aerosmith making "Draw the Line."
Yo. Oh.
Probably stealing
They,
that.
they didn't just draw the line; they sniffed the line.
Live audio footage
The
Of
line.
Eric
of
Clapton making
Crosby, Stills, and
cocaine.
Nash at any period.
Yes. Definitely.
Footage of Eric Clapton doing his song "Cocaine."
Yep.
Oh my God.
Uh,
I think we got the gist down.
Yeah.
Cocaine, baby.
Enough reference.
Don't know.
Yeah, this is a great song. It's another great deep cut, I think, on the album where like you wouldn't know it, I don't think, unless you heard the album, and then you get to. I remember first time again when I heard this album and I got to this song, I'm like, I don't know, there's something so cool about that whole, that girl and then the breathe in thing. Like I've never heard that before, and the Beatles never done anything like that before. It felt like it's just something experimental, something new to throw in there, and yet it's like so cool, and it's like, wow, that's such a cool. They could have done it without it, but they put it in, and it's like, wow, like I really like that effect that they did there, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I just really love John's voice on here. I love the way he sings the girl, like the way he makes his voice go up and down. Oh, it's so cool. It's such a cool effect. Again, they're just, I feel like they're just getting better as, singers, songwriters, musicians, all of it. They're coming up with cool new things to do different than what they did before. And, you got that kind of chord, there's a different part, and the backing vocals hit in with that. And it's like, wow, that's cool. Backing vocals to John's again. His kind of his vocal work is just so great, and it picks up a little bit in that section, and it's almost a little aggressive the way he sings. I love it, and even the songwriting I think really cool as well here. Yeah, it's a great song.
I love this song. It's amazing. I love how it just starts out with him singing, "Is there?" and then the instruments come in. It's kind of very like free flowing. You kind of feel like it kind of gives off I'm in love with someone and like I just can't stop thinking about her kind of a vibe. Especially that's kind of what I don't really take it as I'm sniffing cocaine. I take it more as just like girl, like that. I love the middle section there where they kind of switch it up and it goes to more of a straight rhythm rather than the lazy rhythm. And the backing vocals. I used to think they were just going do 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 do, but I found out that they were actually singing something else, and it was very intentional.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what it was, but you can look it up if you want. And then I love how they go back to that section later on, and they have the guitar with the bow 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 bow
Oh yeah.
bow down 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 right back into the girl. Yeah. Sorry, allergies. But yeah, it's a great song.
I'm trying to find out what they're saying now.
Oh, just
Because I thought they were saying-
look up the lyrics.
Yeah.
Where do I look it up? Girl lyrics?
I'm like, it's not that difficult to find, I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh, found it. I won't say it. Okay. Well.
Yes, and John Lennon said that was intentional.
I'll post that down in the private chat. Very, very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh,
Okay.
neat.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, "Girl" is I think it's a really good song. I think John Lennon did a really good job with this. A little fun fact about this is Lennon said that "Girl" was an archetype he was searching for, and that he would finally find in Yoko Ono. He said, "Girl is real," which interesting, since he was already married. It's like, John,
Oh, you found
what
the
are
girl?
you doing? Anyways, he actually met Yoko in '66.
Uh,
At Art Gallery.
Art gallery, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, remember that song that I wrote? Anyways, yeah, this is a really good song. Yeah, this is a really good John Lennon song.
I always think of Girl as like a character development, like in the Beatles, it's Girl, but then years later it becomes Woman.
They did
oh yeah,
Woman.
no, Lennon said that Woman was the
Yeah.
follow-up to Girl.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that on a Beatles? I don't.
It's not a Beatles song. It's a John Lennon solo
Oh.
song.
So Woman feels like the sequel to this song.
Yeah, it's the sequel.
Which is pretty interesting. That's why I thought that he wrote this to Yoko originally. But yeah, this is a pretty good song. A lot of people rank this high as one of their favorites on this album. It's not as high on my ranking, but still a lovely track. I like especially where he and the rest of it was like, girl, girl. That's pretty cool. I think there's better John Lennon songs on this album personally, but I still really like it. And now we go back to Paul McCartney with
Oh, I love this song. Yeah.
Yes.
Again,
Yeah.
this is a song that I don't really see myself liking normally, but the guitar work is exceptional.
It's actually the organ. That's Ringo on the organ.
Really?
Organ.
Oh, wow.
The bop bop.
It's the
Yeah,
guitar and the
I
organ.
didn't know you could play another instrument besides drums.
Yeah, Ringo also.
Little
I guess is that guitar too?
It's both of them.
Oh.
That's what makes it so dissonant, is that the organ is playing a note that's just a half step away from the guitar.
Oh,
That's what makes it such an abrupt sound.
I thought it was just the organ. That's cool.
Yeah, that's what makes the song unique. However, this is, like I said, this is one of my least favorite songs on the album, though.
Oh man.
Yeah, I love the beginning, the acoustic guitar, I think, or whatever.
Well, I like it in the US version where like Paul like has mistakes in the beginning.
Oh, really?
That's what that would make the song even better. Like the song actually, the ranking actually goes up with that version because I like when little mistakes happens. It shows that even the Beatles are humans.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I love just how that begins with a bum bum bum, whatever how that begins, and it gets right into the song. And again, a great Paul McCartney vocal. He's great. I love when he goes that you don't look different, but you have changed, and the other Beatles come in with the harmonies. Love that when they get in that, and that, and his vocally just gets a little bit louder. He's almost like yelling that. You're not. Goes into that instrumental part. Oh, it's so cool. It's another really fantastic Paul McCartney song.
Yeah, this song is amazing. I love the guitar at the beginning. It was written about his girlfriend at the time, Jane Asher, who was the sister of Peter Asher of Peter and Gordon, and they kind of had a rocky relationship because Paul was a bit of a player when he was younger. When he met Linda, it was like it's just Linda. But when he was younger, Paul was a bit of a player, and so that caused her to rightfully not want to be with him. But then Paul kind of took that the wrong way and wrote most of the songs on this album about her.
Yeah, you won't see me is a good example of that too.
Yeah.
Looking through you, yeah.
But great guitar on here. I like the little switch up with the and I love the line, "Love has a nasty habit of disappearing overnight."
Such a great line.
That is a great line.
That is.
And then, man, some of the lines in this song are just roasts where he's like, you were above me, but not today. Where it's like, sometimes when you think like she's too good for me, and then you get with her, and then it's like, well, now like you want to break up with her, and it's like, well, now you're not too good for me now. It's like, now I'm up here and you're down there. It's like the old switcheroo. You'll be wrapped around my finger.
Yeah.
Police reference. But yeah, like great song, really good lyrics. Oh, man, it's gonna be so difficult making a top 5 for this album.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of my favorite songs. I really enjoy the song. I think Paul McCartney really belts it out in the song. It's yelling. But yeah, that organ that makes the song for me. And yeah, this is Love has a nasty habit of disappearing overnight. Bro, what a line. But I really enjoy this song. It's one of my favorites.
When I love the fade out where you just hear him like ad-libbing and screaming where it's like, "Oh, I'm looking through you. Oh, baby, you change. Oh, you change. I'm looking through you."
I don't know why, but for some reason I'm half expecting him to go, "I'm a believer."
Yeah.
And I'm a believer. I was alone. I took a ride. I didn't know what I was finding.
I'm a believer. Those two songs, like, I'm like, when's the part McCartney says I'm a believer? Because I know.
I'm a believer. Oh, now it changed. It changed.
All right, so yeah, this song's awesome. I love the guitar riff. Some of Paul's best vocals on the album. I'm looking at you, you're not the same. I love that. See, if this was on a lesser Beatles album, like if this was on like Beatles for Sale, this would have easily been in my top 5. But this album is stacked with so many great songs that just barely made my top 10. It tells you how good of an album this is. But it's awesome. It's a great song.
Are we doing top 5s or top 10?
Top 5s usually, but
I'm just gonna do the top 5. Too many songs on this album.
Yeah.
That's what I like about this album. Is there are 14 songs on this album, and all of them are absolutely amazing, and each of them get what they need to get done in under 3 minutes.
Wow.
The only one that's over 3 minutes is my least favorite song on the album.
Wow.
Yeah, You Won't See Me.
Good point.
Too long, too bluesy.
On this.
All right. Next song on the album, Back to John Lennon. This is probably the best known song on the album. In my life,
I want to talk about the piano sound when it gets to me.
Okay.
I know what Scott's gonna say, so I'm not gonna say it, but yeah. I don't know where to start with this song. The intro is beautiful. Bum, 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 bum. Boom, 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 boom. There are places I remember of my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone and some remain. All those places have their moments. Just gets you right in the heartstrings.
Yeah.
It's one of those songs where you just the lyrics are awesome. Lyrics you gotta really digest, and the harmonies are outstanding. Uh, the song's a masterpiece. To keep it blunt, and there are 3 songs by the Beatles that are five. There's 5 Beatles songs that are contending to be my favorite Beatles songs when we do our top 10 at the end of the series, and this is one of my top 5 favorite songs. It took me forever. When I first heard this song, I thought it was overrated, but that was me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Now I've grown older, and the song gets better and better from each listen. Yeah, love this song.
Yeah. First time I heard the song was actually watching the Beatles anthology documentary, which I saw it when it happened back in I think '95 when that documentary came out on TV, and it was like 3 nights in a row of it's a 3-part documentary, but I have it on DVD and it's like a 5-part documentary on the DVD. They added a lot more stuff to it, and my favorite part of the whole documentary is at the beginning they have this montage of the Beatles growing older. They show them when they're like kids, and they montage them to like they're towards the end of the Beatles, like in 1970 or whatever. And they play this song "In My Life" as a montage, and it works. It's just magnificent. It's like the greatest like documentary filmmaking I've ever seen. Like whoever the director that came up with the idea, it's like, man, that was like so perfect. The song worked so well for, and yeah, when I watch it, like I get a little teary eyed because it's like, wow, you're watching the Beatles. They're progressing through their lives, and you're hearing this great song about reminiscing about the past. And of course, obviously the Beatles broke up way before I was born. Like, man, I wish they would have stayed together, kind of thing, because I have so many great memories of, them as just listening to the music as a kid, And anyways, and so I remember hearing that and going, what is this song? This is like one of the greatest songs I've ever heard. And I fell in love with that song. As soon as I saw the documentary, I was like, I didn't know. And then when I found out it was on Rubber Soul, I mean, it definitely helps this album be one of my favorite albums of all time. When I get to the song, it's my third favorite Beatles song of all time. When I did my rankings, I mean, I absolutely love this song. Like the bum 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 bum. I absolutely love that. It's so great. It really makes that song. And then the harmonies. There are places we remember the way they harmonize together. Oh, so great. And I love when they, I love some of the lyrics here. Um, when I'm trying to remember lyrics, but when he says, my life, I love you more. I don't know. I absolutely love that.
Of all these friends and lovers, there's no one that compares with you, and these
No one-
memories lose their meaning when I think of love as something new.
Yeah. Yeah. But I love the idea. Like he throws in, and John's like only in his 20s, and he's writes this beautiful song about reminiscing, looking at the past kind of thing, which is incredible that he was that mature enough to write a song like this. And yeah, then he adds in that I love you more. So then it comes like almost this love song too. Oh, amazing. And then I love that last line of in my life, how he hits those high notes. Oh my gosh. Amazing. It's different. He never does it until that point in the song. And that's something a little bit extra that makes the song even better. Oh my gosh, that's an amazing ending. And then he even slows it down. I love you more. Bum, 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 bum. Like, oh, amazing ending. One of the great songs of all time.
You're just describing that, and I literally was just getting chills thinking about this song. I love this song. I love this song. Starting out with that guitar riff. Ba, da, 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 da.
Oh,
I love that guitar riff. And then Ringo comes in with that beat. And then like what'll happen is like they'll kind of switch it up a little bit where the beat will go and then it'll go right back into that beat. Ringo's drumming. The lyrics on this song are lovely. It is talking about reminiscing about life and all these things you've done, but then signaling out that there's somebody who's very special, who's like you love even more than all of the things that you've done in your life. That is lovely. That is lovely right there. And I know Jason was talking about that last line. Man, I love the last line. My life. And then it slows down. I love you more. Boom, da, 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 dum, dum, da, da, dum, dum. And then when they hit that last note, the guitar plays boom, but then like their finger slips, so it goes boom, and they get a hold of the note again. I like they left that little imperfection in there. That I think it was George, like his finger slipped off the note or something like that. We haven't even talked about my favorite part of the song yet, though.
Yeah.
The piano solo. So halfway through the song seemingly goes into double time, and you get what sounds like a classical, like clavichord or something like that. And it's very like Bach, almost like a Bach Baroque fugue sounding thing. And I remember the very first time I heard this song was when I listened to the Beatles' Red album, and I'm like, what is that sound? And I asked my mom, what is that sound? And then she just said, oh, they probably just had a keyboard sound setting that you could set to make it sound like that. You didn't have that back then. If you had an electric piano, it would just have one sound, the electric piano sound. So that sound on this piano has always intrigued me. I'm like, how did they get the piano to sound like that?
Yeah.
I found out. The piano was played by George Martin. He slowed the tape down to half speed and played this Baroque sounding piano thing with he played it hand separately. He played the right hand and then he overdubbed the left hand because they're both doing very contrapuntal things to each other in true Baroque fashion. And then whenever he sped the tape up to full speed, that's the sound you get. So what you're hearing is George Martin overdubbing two piano parts, a right hand and a left hand, that he played at half speed, sped up to 2 times speed. How do you think of that?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Because like the first time I heard that, I'm like, I hear I'm like, who played that? Because that's insane. And like, how did they do that? And then when I figured out how they did that, I was like, and that's when I realized the genius of George Martin.
Yeah.
Because he's going to do stuff like from this point on in the discography, George Martin's going to do stuff like this. He's going to like find weird, wacky ways to add extra like dimensions to the Beatles songs through cool, crazy stuff like playing a piano at half speed and then speeding it up, making it sound like a classical Baroque song. Anyway, you can tell I like this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, this song is just straight up beautiful, man. Oh my goodness. John Lennon wrote some great lyrics doing this song. I don't know what else to say. This is one of the best songs I've ever done. I think it's kind of like I would compare this to Yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Like Paul McCartney's Yesterday, John Lennon's In My Life. I feel like they kind of have similar vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this song is excellent. I don't really have much to add. This is a wonderful song. One thing I will add, I know John always would pick on Paul McCartney for writing some of those songs that are more sentimental and say, oh, those are his granny songs. And I've always resented that term.
Yeah.
Because I think they're well-written songs regardless. Yeah. Which I kind of find it weird that John would accuse Paul of doing that when, in all honesty, this could easily have been John Lennon's granny song because of how sentimental it is. But with that said, Yep. I think it's a fantastic song. I love how sentimental it is, reflecting on nostalgia and where he is in the present. I think it's a beautiful track, and it's in my top 5.
I will say he does have 2 Granny songs in their discography. Paul McCartney, we haven't reached them yet, but
When I'm 64 is amazing.
I love when I'm.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
64.
defend that song.
that's a Granny
That
song.
one and Obladi Oblada. I will defend those two
Yeah.
songs.
Obladi Oblada isn't a Granny song. The 2 songs I'm referring to is OM64 and Honey Pie.
Honey Pie is okay.
Honey pie. Yeah.
What
Those
about
are his
Wild
two.
Honey Pie?
Wild Honey Pie is garbage. I'm gonna
Oh,
bring
yeah,
out the
that's
trash
it.
can for that one.
I would say you won't be seeing the garbage can for this episode. That's for sure.
No. I love the White Album to death, but you're gonna see the garbage can come out a few times.
Yeah,
for that
yeah.
one.
All right, our
Yeah.
next song is "Wait."
It's been a long time. Again, it's like every time I hear in my life, as soon as it ends, I'm waiting for it's been a long time.
Now I'm coming back home. I've been away now. Oh, I've been alone. Wait till you come back to my side. We'll forget the tears we've cried. But if your heart breaks, don't wait. Turn me away. You get the idea. But this song's catchy. Very, very catchy. Oh man. So much catchy songs on this album. There isn't really much to distinguish it though. For that, it's on the lower end, but it's a great song.
Yeah, this is such another great deep cut, as I call it, because it's not a well-known Beatles song at all. But yeah, it's so amazing. Like I said, that beginning part is so great. And I just love how they transition to that wait, how they do that real quick. Wait, when you come back to my side, when they do that part, the harmonies. What I love about the song is the harmonies are so good. It's one of the best harmony songs. It's not a well-known one either. It's not one you think about, but when I think about this album, that's one of the songs I think about. Wait is like one of the hidden gem songs that no one talks about, but is absolutely fantastic. It's one of those, so many great Beatles songs, and yet you forget about this song. Wait, a really good song that more people should know about.
I like this song. It probably ranks near the bottom, but it's still very fun. I love Ringo's drum fills on this one, especially that one on right before they get to the wait section. I like how it's like a lot of these songs just start with just the vocal and then the instruments come in. I like that about this album. It's been a long time now. I'm coming back home. Wait till I come back to your side. More really good harmonies too. What I really think is really good about this song, it's very interesting, is that the song ends on a minor chord, which you don't expect it to. It's just like they slow down and they go, it's been a long time now. I've been alone.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting it to go there. I was expecting it to go, I've been alone, but no, it goes, I've been alone.
Close it down. Yeah.
And I like the George Harrison's using those volume swells again, kind of like he was doing on I Need You on the last album.
All right. Wait. This is a great song.
There's more.
No. Wait, yes.
Don't
What a
wait.
great song. Cool little fun fact. This is a Help outtake.
Oh, wow.
They thought it was too weak to be on Help. And when they were recording this album, they were getting pushed for a Christmas release, and they were one song short, and like, well, we'll just put this song on here. And so they did some overdubs and slapped it on here.
Works better on this album.
And yeah, so this is a really awesome song. If this song is considered weak, oh my goodness gracious! What?
Why would you not put this on there instead of Dizzy Miss Lizzie?
Oh yeah, that'd been awesome.
This is way better than Dizzy Miss Lizzie.
Yeah, so that's a very fun fact. But this song's great. I don't know, we're like a broken record at this point. This song's great. This song's great.
Yeah, this song is awesome. It's in my top 10. Pretty awesome song, especially the harmonies. Wait, there's no turning back. Very catchy song. I don't really have much else to add. It's awesome. All right, second to last song. Going back to George Harrison. If I needed someone.
Well, I remember earlier in the video when I said that George Harrison had my least favorite song on the album. Well, it's quite the opposite for this one. This is one of my favorites on the album. Easily a top 5 song. The harmonies. The harmonies. If I needed someone to love, you're the one that I be thinking of. And the harmonies come in. If I needed someone.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a masterpiece. However, this version's great, but I slightly prefer the Hollies version.
Oh, the Hollies did a song?
Yes, the single version. I mean, not the single version. When they released this as a single, they released it the same day as this album. Here, that's a little tidbit. George Harrison was not happy.
I was gonna say, I don't think they were happy though. Yeah.
It wasn't they. It was more George Harrison that kind of felt disdain towards that, and he was like, they're session musicians at best, which I find to be a little snarky from a guy who doesn't have the best guitar solos in the band, but I'll give him a break. I'll give him a break because I love the guy and his music, but I will say that was a little starky coming from the guy who can't even do the Taxman solo. But that's just me though. That's not gonna judge my love of this song. That's not gonna judge my love of Taxman, but just saying, if he's gonna talk about their musicianship, at least look at himself first.
Before you accuse me, take a look at yourself.
Just a little hypocritical of George Harrison to knock on the Hollies. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm right with Nick. It's one of my favorite songs on the album, and I think maybe one of the more underrated songs on here of all the big name songs. I think.
Oh yeah, like when you think big songs on this album, you think Norwegian Wood, Nowhere Man, Michelle. In my life, but people never talk about this song.
No, and it's one of my favorite George Harrison songs. In fact, and just what Nick said, the harmonies, some of the best harmonies they've ever done. I think when they did that, if I needed someone, amazing harmonies on those notes and how they end that. Guitar playing is really good too. I love the old guitar riff here as well. Throughout, and I love the part where they're going and then he's playing like a guitar solo. Oh, so amazing! And even I like the whole idea of the song is like, I don't need you now, but maybe in the future I'll need you. So if I need someone, you're the one I'm gonna pick. Like, it's not the most endearing, but if you're a Beatle, you probably have girls lined up. Anyways,
everybody's trying to be my baby.
No, please stop.
Better version of everybody's trying to be my baby.
My number's on the wall. Maybe a call if I needed some. I mean, I do like the lyrics to it as well. And of course, I said George Harrison. He's becoming almost as good as Lennon McCartney at this point. And I think definitely by the next album, he's just as good at stuff as what they're doing. So yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, we got another really great George Harrison number here. This one was inspired by the Byrds, actually. George Harrison trying to kind of sound like the Byrds, particularly a song from their album Mr. Tambourine Man called The Bells of Rhymney. In fact, the guitar solo, if you listen to The Bells of Rhymney, is almost a direct ripoff. The rest of the song sounds nothing like The Bells of Rhymney, though. It's all George Harrison, but that guitar riff is kind of like a slightly sped-up version of The Bells of Rhymney. But Byrds are inspired by the Beatles, and now the Beatles are inspired by the Byrds. You got the Byrds and the Beatles. And Man, George Harrison is getting very good at songwriting at this point. Like he throws in a very clever key change. This is the first time George Harrison ever used a key change in his songs, which George Harrison, he uses key changes a lot later on. I know there's a big one in Something. Like a lot of songs he uses later on. Yeah, and While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Like a lot of George Harrison's songs are characterized by key changes, and so this is the first time he does it. That the chorus is kind of in a different key than the verse is. And I love the guitar. I love the harmonies, and I love the jangly guitars that you can tell are inspired by good old Jim McGuinn from the Byrds. So yeah, very good song.
Good point.
All right. This is a really good song. I think this is probably my top 5. This is a really good George Harrison song. I was thinking of putting "Think for Yourself" just with Buzzface, but I think this is a stronger song than "Think for Yourself." Oh my God, George Harrison's really starting to come into his own with his musicianship, and good stuff. I really like this.
All right. So we've gone for a lot of George Harrison songs at this point, and I'm going to say it now. Up to this point, this is George Harrison's best song.
Yes.
I agree.
This song is amazing. It's in my top 5. I'm glad, Scott, you brought up that this feels like a Bird song, because when hearing this song, I felt like I was hearing Turn, Turn, Turn almost sonically.
Yeah. Very Birds inspired.
Very Birds inspired. And I
We
think
might have to
that's
play
pretty
The
cool.
Bells of Rimini after the stream just so you can.
That's a good song.
Yeah, I've not heard that other one.
Well, shameless plug. If you want to see me and Briar from Briar's Music Showcase review all the Birds
Yes.
albums,
Jacob, you should
I'll
listen
plug my
to
channel.
you should listen to the Mr. Tambourine Man album. It's very similar to some of the stuff on Rubber Soul.
Album.
But yeah, it's an amazing song. I love the harmonies added to it. If I needed someone, that's like the extra icing on the cake to how awesome this song is. Now we go to the album closer. George Harrison is closing us out. This might be the darkest song on the album, actually.
It's the darkest song in the Beatles discography.
No controversy at all.
I know why the lyrics are the way they are. I'll explain when I get to them, but that doesn't make them passable.
It's all about "Run for Your Life."
Well, I'd rather see a dead little girl than to see with the mother man.
Very first line.
This is
the first line.
Wow, what a line.
You better keep your hand, little girl, or I won't know where I am.
The real zinger is
Left you can, little girl. Hide your hand in the sand, little girl. Get you with the mother man. That's
Hearing this song, I know this is how Maroon 5 came up with the song "Wake Up Call."
like the real zinger is, let this be a sermon. I mean every word I said. I'm all determined that I'd rather see you dead. It's like, what?
Whoa.
Bro,
It's not a stalker song. That's like stalker with malicious intent.
psycho song.
Murderous.
I don't know which Elvis song it was inspired from, but
That's right.
I know it's inspired from Elvis.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yikes.
Maybe
It's
let's play
Elvis
House.
Country. I'm 10,000 years old.
It says the line was taken from an early Elvis song called "Baby, Let's Play House." That's been ages since I've heard that song.
I was to say it's probably a song that I probably won't like at all, but yeah, this is a song I like a lot. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, to be honest. It barely missed out in my top 5 range, to be honest. As the closer, though, no, this is not how you close an album. No. So you have 2 not so good bookends, to be honest, which may or may not affect the score on the album. And one country song. I gotta think about what I'm gonna get this album. Yeah, that's what my thoughts.
Yeah, it's definitely a very divisive song, or very controversial song nowadays. it's very misogynistic, as
Yeah.
they would say.
Yeah.
Heard a
Yeah,
lot.
I was scrolling through a list the other day of, like, I think one of the websites, like, most problematic classic rock songs, and guess
Oh,
what Beatles song made the list? This one,
Yeah.
Brown sugar.
from people that get easily offended and like to cancel.
Yeah, right. This would be a cancelable kind of thing nowadays if you wrote this.
Lennon kind of disowned the song even
Yes.
shortly after it was released. He called it misogynistic BS, I think.
Yeah, I think he didn't like the song. Later on, he kind of like you said, for good reason. I agree. Like lyrically, I do not like the whole sentiment of violence towards women. Like, nah, I'm not a fan of that part of it. But it is a good rock song, and the guitar is great. It's maybe the second rockiest. Like Nick said, the "Drive My Car" is probably maybe the most rocking song, and this is maybe the second, or maybe this is the most rocking song. I can go either way. And they book in the album here. So it's one of those things where like I like the music, but I don't like the lyrics, so I'm kind of like in the middle. Definitely, usually towards the bottom of my list when I talk about Beatles songs. It's not when I just because of the lyrics, but yet musically, there's a lot of good stuff. So yeah, I'm in the middle.
So this song and a song that we're going to talk about coming up, "Brown Sugar" by the Rolling Stones,
Yeah,
are two songs that just have trashy lyrics, but they're just so catchy that it's like. Because I think this is it's got a cool beat to it. I like the bow, bow, down, 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 and I love the kind of frantic drumming that Ringo was doing on this song as well. But it's like, bruh, don't kill the girl. You know better than that. Like this and like Jimi Hendrix. Hey Joe, where are you gonna go with that gun? It's like, why are
what?
Bruh, murder? Really? Like, I don't know. I like the music, but the lyrics are awful. Funny story. I found out that Nancy Sinatra covered this song.
Yeah, he did.
It's awful.
It's on the same album as These Boots Are Made for Walking.
Oh, wow.
Funny enough is that I think the Hollies version of "If I Need Someone" slightly better than the Beatles version, and then we go to a cover that I think is way worse than the Beatles original.
Hey, nothing can be worse than "I'm Eleanor Rigby."
Oh, I
Yeah.
Oh,
Who covered Eleanor Rigby?
Aretha Franklin.
Aretha Franklin, what you'd think would be really good, but then it's just this generic sounding soul song, and she just goes, "I'm Eleanor Rigby. I pick up the rice in the church where the wedding's been, and I live in a dream."
Oh yeah, me and my dad agree that's the worst Beatle cover ever.
That was bad.
That's bad.
Anyways, yeah.
You can cover
Run for
Otis
Your Life.
Redding, but not Eleanor Rigby.
Yeah.
Yeah, Run for Your Life. What a song. And yeah, I Scott and I were at a record store, and I think I was having to look at something. I'm like, what's this Nancy? Oh, it's Nancy Sinatra's Boots album. Apparently her first album. It's on her debut album.
Her version of "As Years Go By" is amazing.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, these are Beatles songs. And I was like, oh, she's got a cover of Day Tripper on here. That's cool.
It's okay.
And because I didn't hear it, but I heard because the record store I went to has a listening station, so you can set up a record and listen to it. And I just listened to the Beatles songs, and she replaces the guitar with a trumpet. So we'll get to Day Tripper in a minute, but I'm like, why did she have "Run for Your Life" on here? And then it's like, what? Out of all the Beatles songs you chose to cover, yeah, I can understand you want to cover Day Tripper, like that's Day Tripper, but you choose to cover "Run for Your Life," and it's the last song on the debut for her as well.
Yeah, that was
the very last song on her album, like as it is on this album. It's like,
yeah, that was like a typical thing for artists to do at the time when like the Beatles or the Rolling Stones would make an album. They would like purposely pick album tracks to cover. Like some artists, like for example, this one hit wonder, or I wish this never became a hit. They covered "Stupid Girl" from the Aftermath album, and
who did?
It was awful.
No, we don't speak of it. We don't speak of it.
We don't speak.
And not only that, but the band,
Stupid Girl is
band,
sexist.
but the band had the balls to say that their version of Stupid Girl was better, and that the band knew it, and that they were too scared to admit it.
Well, who was this?
I gotta find it, but it was bad.
Wow.
Considering the Rolling Stones are still going strong, and we don't even know who these people are.
Yeah,
that
I
should
don't
say
know. I
something.
don't know about this.
Yeah.
I'll show
But
it
yeah.
to you, Jacob, at some point.
Yeah, the
so-
lyrics are very dark and very menacing, just straight up threatening. It's like,
Yeah.
if I catch you with this other guy, I'm gonna kill you and him. That's the end. You're dead. It's like, bruh, chill. Oh, here. And he has the audacity to sing this when he's around cheating on his wife. It's like, bro, what is your deal?
He's going through some stuff on this album.
Like he said himself, he's just a jealous man, I guess.
Yeah. Yes.
Little John Lennon reference there in the
He
song.
Jealous guy.
Well, he did say I'm a jealous guy in this song.
But he'll say himself later, it's getting better.
Yep, we know what he used to do.
Yeah, but yeah, this song, this is a rock song to end the album. You got Drive My Car and you got Run for Your Life, big rock songs to start and end the album. But man, the lyrics, bro, oh my goodness. Oh.
All right, so my thoughts on this song. Yeah, this is the darkest song on the album. I don't mind it being the closer because I think you got Drive My Car as the opener. This is the closer, so your two rocking songs are your bookends. I'm fine with that. This song didn't really bother me that much. Yeah, it's dark, but it's catchy. I mean, you're talking about the same group who a few years later did Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
True.
True.
That's true.
Well, that's more comical though.
Yeah, I don't. This song doesn't really. I don't really see why people get all up in arms about this song. I know John Lennon's not actually going to go out and kill somebody. I think it's supposed to be more tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
So a song like this doesn't bother me compared to, we'll talk about on Sticky Fingers, like Brown Sugar. Just leaves like a weird taste in my mouth.
Weird taste.
Bow, 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 bow.
But yeah, I don't mind this song. But it's in my bottom three. I will say that. All right, so that's technically the end of Rubber
That's the
Soul, but we
end.
got two bonus tracks to talk about. Two big hits that were
I have this record.
that
Pull
were
it
not
out.
singles.
Pull it out, Scott. Pull out the single.
Now, while you pull out the single, I'll hype up the first of these two non-album singles, and I can sum it up by this guitar riff.
Oh, we're gonna talk about this one first.
Gotta go to easy. We're taking the easy way out now. Gotta go to easy. We're taking the easy way out now. There was a day easy now. Always take it, yeah. And took me I found out.
Here it is.
Okay.
And I've got my yesterday and today with it on it. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about.
I got this for $7. It looks like.
Okay. Now for my review of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a classic. Yeah, this should have been on the album. I know the Beatles were stingy with that, but it would have, if the two non-album singles would have been on Rubber Soul instead of What Goes On and Think for Yourself, this would be an easy 10 out of 10 album. Easy. Like, not only that, but it would be in my top 100 albums list as well. That's how good these non-album singles are. But we live in the universe where the Beatles were stingy about that, and Yeah, that holds Rubber Soul back from being what I would think would be a perfect album.
Would you like this as like a opener, Nick?
Oh, this would be an epic opener. Then have
Oh,
Norwegian Wood follow that up, and then I'd say instead of having Run for Your Life close the album, have like We Could Work It Out be the closing track.
Okay. Yeah.
Or maybe actually Let Me Cook. It'll be the opening song of side 2.
Okay.
After
Okay.
Michelle. Got the love song, and then it's like We Could Work It Out.
Yeah, if I needed someone be the closer.
hmm
That's a great closer too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, the song may be about drugs.
No, it's about a prostitute.
Um,
Kind of like Ticket to Ride.
Yeah,
I still don't believe that.
That was a joke.
well, I think it's the Tripper is about being tripped on drugs or something like that. I thought, but the Beatles are going to start writing more songs about drugs at this point. It's just going to be inevitable at this point, or about prostitutes or whatever. All kinds of stuff they're writing about the rock and roll lifestyle, as you say. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about it. That riff is what makes the song. I think it's one of the more iconic riffs, I think, in the Beatles. And I've played this riff on my guitar, and I struggle with it. I don't know why. It's something weird about the riff because when you play guitar, like any instrument, when you're first learning it, you're thinking about it a lot. And so you're not going very fast, of course, because you're just, it's in your head. You're trying to really think it out. And then after you play it a while, it becomes like natural. You don't have to think about it anymore. Your hands just do it naturally. And this is one riff that I struggle with. Even if I try to play it a bunch, I still go, I have to think about it. So I don't know if that's just me. It's a difficult riff, in my opinion, from the Beatles. And that's cool. Yeah, it's a solid rock song, obviously, yeah.
This is one of the Beatles' best guitar riffs. I remember the first time I heard it on the Red album. As soon as the guitar came in, it was like, "Ooh, what's this? This is a good riff." Back in my, I really wish I could learn how to play the guitar phase before I actually learned how to play the guitar. And I remember when I first was learning how to play the guitar, I went to a guitar lesson, and this guy had an electric guitar, was playing the riff to Day Tripper, and I thought he was the coolest guy ever just because he could play Day Tripper.
Yeah.
Anyway, the song itself, love the guitar riff. I love how the guitar solo is just the main riff, but like modulated to a different key. And then there's that little section with the and the riff. And McCartney's bass kind of echoes that riff as well. Boom, 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 boom. And then I like what Lennon does with the rhythm. It's kind of just like this boom, 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 kind of syncopated chords behind that. Good harmonies on this song, and I think it should be noted that I have a history with this song because my very first YouTube video that I ever posted was me doing a parody of this song about Donkey Kong.
Really?
You can't find that video anymore.
Okay.
Probably got copyright strike.
He's
It was up
not
for-
a day tripper. He's a banana slipper.
It was about like the 1980s, like the arcade game. Like this song went, I put in my quarter, decided to play one more game. It was Donkey Kong, the evil monkey. Yeah. I wish I could find that video because it was such a stupid video. It had me in a fedora and a 80s coat dancing around, jumping over barrels that I hand drew myself into the. It was not a good video, but I thought it was amazing. I made a Beatles parody about Donkey Kong. When I was in middle school, I was obsessed with two things: 80s video games and the Beatles, and so I put them both together into this music video about Donkey Kong. It's a parody of Day Tripper. Oh, and then I wanted to do another one that was a parody of I Feel Fine, but it was called It's Tetris Time.
Oh no!
Yeah, okay.
Maybe you should leave the parodies to Weird Al.
Yeah, I wanted my thing to be parodies of Beatles songs that
Oh,
was
really?
about 80s video games, but I decided to stop that. It was in middle school. I was stupid and young. I even made the music video for its Tetris time, but I never released it. You know, I don't even remember how that went. It's like, but it's like, bum, bum, da, 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 da. I don't remember how that. I don't remember. I just remember the chorus went, "I can stack the blocks. It's Tetris time. I'm so glad that I just made a row. You're so sad. Your high score has to go." I don't even know how I remember that.
Oh wow!
It was a whole thing where I wanted to do Beatles
Oh my
arcade
God, that's
game
crazy.
parodies,
That's-
but I didn't. Man, I don't know how I'm pretty sure that Donkey Kong video is lost to time, but if I ever find that, I'll send you guys it. That Donkey Kong song.
All right. Day Tripper.
All right.
What an iconic song. This is iconic. And you know, the Beatles have plenty of iconic singles throughout the years. And I think this is the one that really people started to really take notice. It's like, oh, what is this? This is a great guitar riff. Yeah, a very good song. Unfortunately, 60s, if you were a 60s pop band, you released your singles and you didn't put them on the album. Very sad. That's why, but the Americans did it, so maybe that's just a UK thing or something. I don't know. But yeah, I hope the song should have been on the album. Very sad. But I do have it on my Yesterday and Today album, so I can't really complain on that much. Well, yeah, this is a really, I really enjoy this song. It's one of my favorite
All
songs.
right, the Day Tripper. Whatever this song's about, I don't know. Is it about drugs? Is it about an evil woman?
Evil woman.
I'm thinking evil woman. But anyway, I love this song. If this was on the actual album, this would be my favorite song on the album.
Oh yeah, easy.
I
Yeah.
love the guitar riff. Very singable. Probably one of my favorite Beatles songs, led by John Lennon. To be honest, I love at the end where he's like, "It took me so long, I found out." I think everybody else has said what needs to be said. It song's amazing. Now we go to the last bonus track. We can see
Weekend work.
Oh, it won't be long. We can work it out. We can work it out. This is a Stevie Wonder song.
Yeah,
Actually, he covered it.
he does a
Stevie
great
Wonder
job of
does a pretty
covering
good
it.
cover of the song.
I
I
really
like the original a little bit better though.
The only thing that's wrong with it is when he says, "Try to see it my way." I'm like, if I tried seeing you your way, Stevie Wonder, I'd be blind.
Oh,
Gross.
got him.
It's so wrong of me to say that, but yeah. So when I was in 8th grade, so for a long period of time, I wasn't listening to any music. I of course I grew up with the Beatles and all that, and I'm not going to go through the whole backstory of it, but I ended up listening to Let It Be a lot because it made me feel better. But there was I'm like, you know what? I want to become a Beatles fan. But because there was a lot of music videos that would recommend me after Let It Be, and this was one of them. When I first heard the song, I replay the song over and over and over and over again. I still do sometimes. Sometimes I get to the song and I'm like, yep, I got to listen to this again. And again. And another one. And another one. And another one. But yeah, this video is already 2 hours, over 2 hours long. So I'm just going to say it briefly. This is a great song.
Yeah, I love the song. Another great Paul McCartney. I love the lyrics. The whole "we can work it out" is if you do it my way, we can work it out. If we do it your way, it's not going to work out. So it's a little like not quite correct, I think, way of looking at relationships. If we do it your way, we'll be gone, or before the night's over or something. So I do love that. That's typical. Paul McCartney or John lyrics. Always seeing it their way, not the other way, the girl's way of it. But man, I don't know if Scott will talk about the like the time signature change in that part.
I will.
That for fussing and fighting, my friends, how they slow it down and do something, and then I love that. It's one of my favorite parts of the song. What makes the song so great? Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Great song.
So before I get into this song, I want to tell a funny story about in college when one of my roommates was playing Beatles covers all the time. And he just did it to get on my nerves, and he would look at me and go, "Isn't that better than the Beatles?" And I remember there was this one time when he played this cover of "We Can Work It Out" by 2000's boy band or 2010's boy band called Big Time Rush. And I hated that cover of that song because the instrumentation did not differ very much from the Beatles original. So I'm like, if they're just going to do it like the Beatles, why are they even doing it? B, when they get to the time signature change up, they didn't do it. They just played it straight in 4/4 time and then do nothing to change it up. And I'm like, okay, that's it. You have just ruined what makes this song unique. Okay, now I'm cooking here. But I'm like, that's like the best part of the song, and you didn't do that. You just played it straight because you're too stupid to change time signatures.
Man.
That's me roasting this. But
Yeah.
what happens is the Beatles it's in bum da da dun 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 da 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 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Life is very short and there's no time. And then it goes to 3/4 time, which McCartney called waltz time. But it goes and fussing and fighting, my friend. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Right back to 1 2 3. Except it has more of a 16th note for like a 1E, a 2E, a 3E, a 4E. Whenever it gets back into it.
Yeah.
But man, there's all this interesting changes throughout the song, and there's that harmonium again that we were talking about earlier. Such a very interesting song. Lots of different changes in this song, and I love the end. Cool way to end the song.
Yeah.
Anyway, I almost had a not that funny moment talking about the cover of that song.
Not that funny, is it?
Not that funny, is it?
It's not that funny, is it?
We Can Work It Out. This is another great song. You get your double A side single because they're both I think wasn't it a double A side single?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I
The
think
first double A sided single.
yeah, the Beatles were the first to do that.
Yeah, because it's like you have these two songs. They're just going to be the B side. Just make them both A sides. It's both really good.
Each of these
Solve that
could have
problem.
been released as its own single.
Yeah.
But I like the "We Can Work It Out" Day Tripper single cover. It's just the Beatles for Sale back cover.
Really?
Oh no, it's the front cover of Beatles for Sale. That's the U.S. If you get a capital U.S. picture sleeve, it's just that. "We Can Work It Out" Day Tripper. They're sitting there like.
Yeah.
Oh, and this single was released the exact same day as the album, so you could pick it up the same day.
Oh, that'd be.
Well, just get the album. You don't. Oh, actually, it's not an album. Oops.
I don't have much money, Grandpa. Oh yeah, why don't you just buy this instead? I'm sure it's just as good as what they got on the LP, the long player record there.
Well, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. No, this is a great song. McCartney is going through relationship issues, so he's venting himself in the song.
Events.
All throughout this album, he's venting his relationship issues.
Yes.
And in his single, so yeah.
You did it better than Taylor Swift.
Oh, got him!
That's what.
He actually found someone. Unlike
Roasting.
Oh,
actually, I think she did. The football player.
It's not going to last like Paul
He-
and Linda.
She may or may not be dating a team that Jason follows.
Yes.
Why are we
Or
comparing
it could be
Taylor
just
Swift
a
to the
publicity
Beatles?
stunt to
Yeah,
write
let's
new
not do that.
songs.
Why are we comparing Taylor Swift to the Beatles? They're not
The
in
New
the
York
same.
Times already did
No, I was
that.
just saying, like,
Oh,
because
speaking of Taylor Swift, I saw something on Facebook
Bring
that said she
her,
was the
get her
next
out
Eddie
of this.
Van Halen.
Get her out of this video. We're talking about the Beatles.
you don't hate Taylor
Yeah,
Swift.
she's definitely not the next Eddie Van Halen. Whoever said that was an idiot.
Eh?
They're not even comparable.
Bruh.
Her fans are just annoying, not her music.
Anyways,
No, her music's
song's really
good.
good.
We're talking about We Can Work It Out.
We can work it out. Yes, great song. Much like Day Tripper, if this was on the Rubber Soul album, Day Tripper would be my number one. This would be my number two. These two singles are amazing. Catchy lyrics. I love the chorus. We can work it out. We can work it out. Probably a good song to play if there's like a problem. You could just go, we can work it out. We can work it out. I'm like, all right. It's a relatable song. I'm not like Paul McCartney, but you know, just the principle of the song you can apply.
Right.
That's what makes it relatable.
Yeah.
Really catchy. Some good guitar work on this track. Definitely an all-time great Beatles single. All right. So, what is your top 5 songs on the album, or top 10, or whatever?
Okay.
Oh boy.
Top 5 songs on the album. I'll do one with the singles and one without the singles. So with the singles, my number 5 would be. I'm trying to think because I wasn't thinking about doing it at the time. Okay. Give me 1 second. Sorry. I'm sorry, POV rush.
Sorry, eh? Have some ground course ale mustard.
I'm sorry,
Have some 2112 mustard.
Number 5, Nowhere Man. Number 5, Nowhere Man. Number 4, If I Needed Someone. Number 3, Day Tripper. Number 2, We Could Work It Out. And number 1, In My Life.
All right.
If the top 5 is without the singles, you already know what my top 4 would be. So I'd say number 5 would be well, I gave you 3. No, 2. Yeah, I gave you 3. Hold on, I'm trying to calculate. Yep. So number 1 will be In My Life. That's easily the best song on the album for me for now. Well, probably forever. This song really grew on me. Number 2, I'm gonna go with trying to remember. If I Needed Someone. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Nowhere Man. Number 4, I'm gonna go with Girl, and number 5, Norwegian Wood.
All right, I have some similarities there. I agree with you on all that. Number 5 for me, I have Drive My Car. Number 4, If I Needed Someone. Number 3, Norwegian Wood. Number 2, Nowhere Man, and just like Nick, In My Life, best song on here.
Yeah, I would if no one would have agreed with me on that, it would have been like the Mr. So moment on the Buffalo Springfield album. Like, what?
I'm like, no one else agreed on Mr. Soul.
I'll be like, no one else agrees on In My Life. What?
Yeah, that'd be shocking.
Confused Pikachu face.
Okay, so I got some honorable mentions here. Norwegian Wood. Can't believe it, but it's not in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
You Won't See Me. The Word. Michelle. Man, Michelle's probably my biggest honorable mention. That's probably number 6. I'm looking through you. That's either 6 or 7. And Wait. These are all honorable mentions. But number 5 is If I Needed Someone. Really great George song. Number 4 is Drive My Car. I like that one. Number 3 is Girl. Number 2, Nowhere Man. And number 1, In My Life.
Nice.
Got the trifecta there.
Yo.
All right. So honorable mentions is the other 9 tracks on this album because I think they're all really good. But number 5 is gonna be "If I Needed Someone" from George Harrison.
Gosh, we are getting that one. Nice.
That's a great song.
Oh, I like that one.
I initially had his first song, but I'm like, oh, that was not as good. So I put "If I Needed Someone." It actually bumped out the word.
Oh,
I was gonna put the word in here, but I'm like, I actually like "If I Needed Someone" better. Number 4, "I'm Looking Through You." I get such a great song. Number 3 is gonna be my title in the video. Drive my car, beep beep. Number 2, "Nowhere Man," and I'm gonna do it. "In My Life" is number 1. We got 4 for 4 right now. It's number 1.
quadrifecta.
In my life.
All right.
5 for 5 within my life. Hopefully,
Yep, we'll
maybe.
find out. So, well, technically, if it was on the album, "Day Tripper" would be my favorite song on the album.
Oh yeah, that
With
would be.
We can work it out number 2. But I'll just rank what's on the album. My top 10. I'll just do top 10 because the album is so good. So the honorable mentions technically. Number 10 would be "Wait." Number 9, "The Word." Number 8, "I'm Looking Through You." Number 7, "Drive My Car." Number 6, "What Goes On."
Okay.
Number 5, "If I Needed Someone."
Oh, nice.
Do we all have that at number 5?
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess we know what the definite 5th best song on the album is.
Yep. Number 4, "Nowhere Man." Number
Nice.
3, "Norwegian Wood."
Nice.
Number 2, "Michelle."
All right.
Somebody got to put it in their top 5.
Number 1, "Run for Your Life."
Ah,
Yes, sir.
I'm just kidding. It's in my life.
yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
5 songs, and you picked the other one.
2 life songs.
That's the first time we've ever agreed on the best song on a Beatles album.
Really?
Besides
Didn't
8
we
Days.
all agree 8 Days a Week was the best one from
Yeah, but
Beatles?
that's Beatles for Sale. The best song on the album sticks out like
I-
a sore
I
thumb.
say I don't count that because that's a shitty Beatle album,
You
but this counts because this is a great album. But that song sticks out because of how great it is. The
So
lyrics, it's lyrically amazing, it's musically amazing, and this is vocally amazing. Most of the time, I say the Beatles have 2 out of 3 things that make them stand out, but this is the one case where I'd say they were. This is like this could compete against Who songs. That's how good this song that song is. It could,
All
it
right.
could compete against Queen songs. That's what I'm saying. Like
One of the great-
Really good
I'm
song.
waiting for. You said that I'm waiting for Briar to appear in this call.
Queen.
What?
Queen.
No.
Queen.
Oh,
Queen.
hey,
Queen
Briar in the chat.
All right. What are we gonna rate this album?
So I will say
We might want to wait for have Nick go last.
Do you want to get Nick to go last?
Okay. Yeah, you might.
We should go in reverse order.
Yeah.
Well, I will
go in
say,
reverse
yeah,
order.
we can go reverse order. All right. I will say, I will address the average score thing. So I'll do that. Tyler, since you just joined us, you can still rate the album, but the average score will just be me, Nick, Jason, and Scott, since
Fine.
it'll be average because we started the project. So, but
It's the Jacob Martin project.
it's kind of the same thing when we do the Rolling Stones kind of.
yeah, because people hop in and out of the Rolling Stone series.
Yeah, that'll mess up your average score.
Yeah, it will mess up the average score. But it'll still be a high average score, I'm sure, even if you were on it. But yeah, we'll go backwards because I'm sure Nick will probably break the average based on what he said in the past. I'm gonna give this. This is a first for a Beatles album.
Yes.
10 out of 10.
Hey!
I love this album. even the weaker songs on the album does not hurt the score in any way. I don't mind Run for Your Life as the closer. I think the two rock songs work as bookends. There's a lot of amazing songs on this album. This is the first time I think this is easily the most cohesive Beatles album to date. Just some amazing songs on here, some of which are really underrated, like songs I'd never heard before.
Yeah.
Are on this album that's now my favorite Beatles album up to this point. Will it stay my favorite? We'll find out.
We'll see. We got some serious competition the next like
Got Revolver and
4 or
Sgt.
5
Pepper coming up. My
Yeah, so
goodness.
this is my first 10 out of 10 Beatles album.
We were
All
hoping.
right.
We thought you would like this a lot.
Yeah, it's a great album.
All right, Jacob, you keep that banner up there. No, put that back up. Yeah, I'm giving this a 10. I love this album.
Yes.
Yeah, keep that out. Keep that banner back up. I love this album. Yeah, this is that's why I wanted to come in because I love this album and pretty much everything after that. Although I do also really like Help, but I was not on there. That's okay. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for Rubber Soul. This is in my top 5 Beatles albums for sure.
in the words of Gordon Ramsay. This is trash. It's garbage. It's 2 out of 10. Unlistenable.
Bruh.
Yeah, I don't think we're buying that.
Lies.
No.
I hear lies coming from the number one Beatles fan. Lies.
Yeah, no, it's a 10 out of 10. This album is amazing, and its cultural significance really deserves to give it a 10 out of 10, just because this is kind of the first album, and
Yeah.
it's the second Beatles album I ever listened to. You all know the first one I listened to, but this is the one that made me want to listen to the whole discography. So.
Oh yeah, we all know your first Beatles album was Beatles for Sale. That's what
Yeah.
really-
Oh, yep. I heard Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby and went,
You're like,
this is what albums are supposed to sound like.
If albums don't sound like this, then I'm not interested.
If you ain't going to say Rock On George for Ringo, I don't want to listen.
Hey, Rock On George for
Disgusting.
Ringo.
And not just once, but 3 times in the same song.
3 different times. Why would you do that?
It was Ringo's best song at one point.
Oh, boy. Why did you have
no.
to say it like that?
Until we had to act naturally.
Go, Jason.
Boy.
yeah, it's obviously a 10 out of 10 for me. I just did a whole video on my channel covering the album. It's my second favorite album of all time. I've always loved this album, like we're talking about. And I just have to back up what Nick said that, not Nick. Well, who's Nick? Scott.
I'm Nick now.
It's getting late. Backing what Scott said, it's one of the most significant albums in rock history because it's all originals, no covers, no filler. A lot of albums had covers and fillers. They were like, here's a couple hit songs, and then we'll fill the rest of the album with whatever. They were more interested in putting out the singles and not the great albums. And so I think you see the albums. I mean, we all can agree. I mean, albums get so good from this point on. The way people think about how to put an album together changes at this point. So saying all that, it's an amazing album.
Just to think Buffalo Springfield will come out the next year.
Yeah, amazing album too.
All right. I'll be ready.
I'm sorry. You have to keep the banner down. It's 9.75 for me. The bookends are weak, and the country song kind of throws me off. It still does, to be honest. The song itself is good, but yeah.
What about the one that Tyler has in his hand?
That's a 10 out of 10 right
Oh,
there.
really? Okay.
That's a 10 out of 10 because it opens up with I've Just Seen a Face, which is an awesome folk track, and then it goes right into Norwegian Wood, You Won't See Me. And as much as Nowhere Man and If I Need Someone was sorely missed on that album, I think it works great on the next album in the U.S. catalog, which is what am I thinking?
Yesterday and
Yesterday and Today. So
And it has
we missed
the
it on
Ringo
that,
country
but
song on there.
to me, Rubber Soul US is their best album, but yeah, this is a 9.75 for me.
What's the average?
All right, I just did the math.
You're not a 10.
The average for this album, because Nick brought it down, I ended up having to round it down to 9.75.
That makes
Okay.
Is
sense.
the average. But the good
That's
news
still a high
is,
score, though. That's still a good score for an
Yeah.
album.
Whenever we get
the good news about this is, of the 6 albums between the four of us who started the series, this is number 1 on the average score, beating out Help at a 9.5.
What were
Okay.
the other average scores?
Help is 9.5. Number 3 is A Hard Day's Night at an 8.75. Number 4, Please Please Me, 7.75. And then tied in last place at 5.5 are with the Beatles and Beatles for Sale. And I put Beatles. I'm going to say Beatles for Sale will probably be in the bottom because of Nick.
Yeah, we'll just
Nick-
all choose for Beatles for Sale to be the bottom.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a
I give
fair
that a
sacrifice.
Even though I prefer Beatles for Sale over with the Beatles, but that's just me.
I do, but just for the memes,
Me too.
we're gonna put it last.
fine.
But yeah, average wise.
All
But
right.
yeah, 9.75 overall. All right.
All right.
It was a long stream, but thank you all for sticking with us.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching this live. I appreciate the live comments.
It's been a long stream.
Thank you, Jordan, for your comments. Next time on our Beatles series, we'll be covering another album starting with an R, Revolver.
Oh my goodness.
The album with Gotta Get You Into My Life.
That's the only notable song from that album.
That's
Yep.
one.
That and Yellow Submarine.
Oh, I forget Yellow Submarine's on that album. I always think it's on the Yellow Submarine album.
Repeat.
And we start with a George Harrison track. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
There's
One of his
3
best
George
George
Harrison songs.
I don't know what to give Revolver.
Well, you'll find. Well, we'll find out when we get there. Any final thoughts before we end the stream?
Again, a great album by a great band. Even though I do prefer the previous album, Help, and I was really hoping everyone else would give that a 10 because that was definitely the one opportunity to give the Beatles an average of a 10, but still great writing, still great. This is, despite the bookends, it is a good piece of album.
Yeah, one of the greatest of all time.
I'm trying to think of a Beatles pun on Time to Go, but I can't do that until Sgt. Pepper's.
All right. To all the haters of the Beatles, run for your life. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, this is, in my opinion, Help and Rubber Soul is when the Beatles start to get good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, really good.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Help and
Well,
Rubber
they were
Soul.
already good, but this is when
yeah,
they
yeah.
became the
That's when they
legendary
started-
band.
They were good, but now they're
They had good songs before. Now
Yeah.
they're making good albums.
Yes.
Like the whole
Yes.
album is good.
Yes.
Yeah, Help, Rubber Soul, and then they'll just explode with the next couple of albums
Yeah.
we'll talk about later.
All right,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited to talk about Revolver.
Rubber Soul.
Thank you all for watching. Have a good night. See you all in the next one.
Peace and love and peace.